I'll put you in the. All right, we are live. Hey everybody, how you doing? How's it going? I believe there's a little bit of a delay on my YouTube feed. There we go. All right, how's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me? Is this Ben or Joe Rogan? I have hair. Yeah, so Noir is getting some coffee at 9:08 p.m. Wow, how many people are watching this? Trippy. Wow. Okay, good. Now everybody heard me. There's definitely a delay going on, but okay, that's good. I see everybody's chat now. Wonderful. All right. I'm going to bring you back. Boom. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is great.
Cool.
This is amazing.
I actually, believe it or not, I am not using my Blackmagic camera on this particular stream, sadly.
How rude.
I know. I have it like right back there, but just once I get my modular and everything in the stream, I'm definitely going to use it. But I have this Atom Mini thing.
Oh, wait. So you didn't use it?
No, mostly due to just like last minute technical difficulties. Sure. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to use it for something, where I actually need two cameras and where I could fade in between the two and things like that. Future streams.
I mean, I got mine for like $11 off of Amazon. Like when they were, when there was that point in like the pandemic when like everyone was buying those things.
Yeah.
And so it was impossible to get one. So then I started to be like, oh, how can I get it? So I got them like Alibaba, like
really?
knockoffs. Yeah, I got two of those. That's what I'm using right now. They're great. It's funny how much Elgato charges, but yeah, I got two of those.
Wow. Yeah.
I wanted ATM Mini real bad, but it just like, it was like, it was just like toilet paper at that point. It was just like everybody was taking all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they and it's funny because that was the first thing that they contacted me about. They're like, "Do you do streaming?" And I was like, "No, not really." And they're like, "Well, you should here." And I was like, "Well, okay." But actually, yeah, I even use it a lot of times just to sort of if I have like two cameras when I'm actually doing a real shoot. Oh, also, can you record the SSD out of yours? No? Okay. That's also a thing is you could actually you can actually just plug in an SSD into the back of that.
See, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and just go straight to that instead of like doing it through the camera or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, no, over here we're cheap. In my early days of YouTube, I think I spent all of the budget for the rest of the career on YouTube within the first year.
Me too. I went through this thing where I was like, well, if my videos look and sound better technically than Andrew Huang, then I'll do better than, that's obviously not the truth. That's not how it works. But yeah, I don't need to learn how to speak or anything as long as I have a good depth of field going on. Then yeah, that's the way that I thought about it initially.
And that's all that matters. Anyways, so wait, this is this on your channel right now?
Yeah.
Or is this Patreon? Oh, this is. Oh, see, I thought it was just going to be Patreon.
No.
Oh
this is
no.
live. We have
oh God.
112.
Good.
So
well, I'm gonna curse.
Good. Yeah, you're fine. You can curse.
I can't curse in mine because my nieces watch like annoyingly.
Really?
Yeah, annoyingly, my nieces watch, and so like sometimes randomly. My sister will like pop and be like, "Hey, like Maya says hi or something," and I'm like, so I stopped cursing like as much as I could like in my streams because I'm just like
Oh yeah, I've had some people contact me like some teachers and stuff, and they've been like when I've done more educational things, and been like, "Yeah, I really want to show your thing in my class, but can you beep out the curse words?" And I've just been like, "Oh yeah, like why did I have to drop so many f-bombs when talking about something so rudimentary? Like it makes no sense." But yeah. Early
change to my channel that I remembered was not to curse because like I started right around the adpocalypse, and so right after I started, all videos started getting demonetized, and I didn't even know what was like happening. Like I had no, and sometimes they would demonetize for bleeping it out.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like, all right, let me just write scripts that I'm not gonna curse. I don't know.
Yeah.
Curse a lot in real life, so.
Turn up my volume. Turn up my volume. I'm
Am
getting
I
yelled
too
at.
low? Am I
we
too
go.
low?
I think no. I think I was too low. Now
Okay.
I think I've figured that out. I wish I was using my computer. I have an RME
Good.
sound card on one of my computers,
Ooh.
and it has like the compressor and the de-esser all like in the actual unit. But I don't know why I'm not just using it. Oh yeah. Okay, so the adpocalypse. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Right now, I live in Georgia, so right now every single YouTube ad is about John Ossoff being a socialist terrorist. Like that's like every single like I was actually just saying the other day, like I can't wait to just see an ad for Tide again or something for like for a product, not just an attack ad on because obviously like the Senate runoff's happening here,
Sure,
and so
of course.
all of the political money in the entire country is dumping right into my county, and so it's intense. But
Well, good. This is the show when I can talk about, because I shy away from doing a lot of like pretty like I'm not gonna say honest, but you get this. People
Yeah.
are like, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear you talk about your opinions, right? So
Right.
like very early on, I got that just a couple times because I made that video about Behringer years ago, right? The freaking still have to deal with that video. I made the video about Behringer, and people were like, "We don't talk about your like political. You don't know anything." And I was just like, you know what? They're not wrong.
Yeah.
So I just made like a choice to be like, all right, I'm not going to talk about any of this like anymore because I can accept that like people I like may not have the same like views as I do, and that's fine. I hate to say it, there was a creator I loved like for years. His name's JonTron. He's like a YouTuber, right? A video game YouTuber.
Okay.
And he came out like years ago and said something that was like borderline like people thought it was like racist, and I was like, yeah, but I mean, as a YouTuber, he's still pretty cool, right? And it was tough because it was like, how am I supposed to separate the personal opinion, and like,
Yeah.
a video like I want to watch? And I don't know if I don't know.
It's interesting too in like the Me Too times. Like I think that's gotten like people like Louis C.K. Like people actually had to go through this like sort of crisis where it's like I really like him as a comedian, but man, those things were really bad. But he also did deal with it in quite an honorable way. But it's not honorable because of what he did, So it's kind of. I had a podcast with Mr. Bill where we spent some time talking about that, about like, because it was right after the base nectar thing happened. If you know anything about that, and it was just kind of like, wow, what a weird industry we work in. But
Yes, synths are very. I don't know. I wouldn't consider. I consider myself like a synth YouTuber, but I've sort of decided to just never do a video that's not about synthesizers.
right, yeah,
But in the scope of it, I mean, we're what? Musician, tech.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what I am. I mean, it depends who's asking, I suppose. Like, I mean, I've been hired as a scientist before, so that's like I get to use that cap now every now and then. I'm like, well, I am a scientist, so, or as a researcher. But yeah, it's. I don't know. I mean, I feel like nobody knows what they're talking about right now in general. Like, I feel like politicians don't know what they're talking about. There's so few people who know what they're talking about because I feel like every single argument that anybody has politically, even if it is about something like Behringer, it kind of devolves into arguing over what's real or what isn't. Like we're in the post-truth era, so you just kind of argue on, my facts are better than your facts, and facts don't really matter as much anymore in an argument. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I've had to deal with that. My best friend and I, my best friend since I was in 6th grade, so since I was like 10 or something, I don't even know. Yeah, he and I have very different political opinions starting this time around, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like it's definitely probably hard for people, but like with him and I, it's just like, yo, like we're friends, we're having an opinion, and the 20 years of friendship isn't going to be overturned by elections or whatever, right? But I know that that's not true for every family. A
Yeah.
lot of people having a lot of like interfamily problems because of, I don't know. I don't want to downplay something that I know a lot of people are very like passionate about, but like it's going to end, like it's going to pass, right? Whatever is going on in these 4 years or whoever's, it's going to pass. And those friendships and those histories, I mean, those mean more to me than being right or wrong, like in the moment, you know? So we're all
Right.
going to die. And like, I'd like to, you know, move on.
Man, I wish I had some sort of citation for this because I read a really good article. It was a woman who's a writer, and she wrote an article about how she used to have these New Year's parties in Europe. It was right at, the Soviet Union had kind of, dissolved somewhat recently in, the previous decade. And she used to have these big New Year's Eve parties every year. And when 99 went into 2000, she had a massive one, and everybody got drunk, and they stayed for like a week, and it was this great thing. And she basically wrote out like every single person who attended this party now was like they all hated each other because of political differences. And like a lot of them were Russian, a lot of them, like the party was in Poland, I believe, but a lot of them were Russian and stuff. And like one person was even writing conspiracy articles about her, the writer, saying that she was like, yeah, it was really crazy, but it was like, yeah, this like group of 20 inseparable people all hated each other, and they all had different political spectrums that, just, it's creepy.
I mean, that's why I got off Facebook like 5 years ago. It had begun in my like life where it was like, it was no longer just okay to disagree. It was literally, if you're on the other side, you're actually the enemy. Like, I don't want to speak with you at all. And I just don't want to, I'm not right.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I'm just a freaking idiot who just sort of does his best, and at the end of the day, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to be cool.
One thing I was thinking about
whatever.
is like in a Facebook argument, you sort of think like I feel like human egos, or Twitter or anything. I feel like human egos, like let's go back to the 1990s, like when I was a teenager, and
Sure.
and if I had an argument with somebody, if I was like, whatever the argument might be, how fast can a cheetah run? We would talk about it and smoke pot and, or whatever, and we would talk about it, and we would like sort of weigh the pros and cons of each person's idea and do these things. And it would take a minute. And then, eventually a couple weeks later, somebody would actually look it up at the library. And then, we'd be like, oh, okay, interesting. But having your ego destroyed
Yeah.
in 5 seconds after saying something, but somebody just posting like, oh yeah, well, here's a white paper that says this. And then you have to like separate from your identity in a way.
Yeah.
You have to be like, oh, okay, or you have to basically double down and then just BS your way through the argument. I just feel like our egos aren't developed for the internet.
It's funny. I very much agree with that. And I mean, I think about like, what is it? Like, even like romantic relationships. I feel like the thing that gets us in trouble the most is as soon as you decide that like your ego, like something that you can't really even like, you can't explain to someone else because it's so like hooked to your history of living that like you're now just, I as this individual, like there was, what is it, there's that thing called protagonist syndrome or something, where you create this world where like you are the main character and you must always sort of be it's like, I don't know, I mean, maybe when you're on a platform like YouTube where it's sort of like a self like, you create these videos yourself and people tell you that they're good or they say fuck you, at least know that like I just want to have the conversation and then say, okay, fuck it, and then be done. Like that, like that's literally how far I want it to go. And I don't move away from it thinking like, oh, how fucked I was from you saying that, or how I gotta go home, research so I can hit you back later and like tell you that you were wrong. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just trying to. Life's too short. Like I was way sick in the past, and so I'm just like, man, there's a lot more important things to me than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good perspective, definitely. I think especially right now, because I do feel like a lot of the things, like, how often, like, in a year, is anybody still going to be like, no, you know what, masks don't work? Like, that's not going to be a thing in a year. Like you're destroying and it's funny because I have a good friend who is rational in every way except this person will not wear masks. And it's just kind of like, I just kind of have to abandon it and be like, all right, in a year, we'll come back to this, and I'm sure we'll agree, But,
well, people are unsubscribing from us as we speak. So I will say that, it's funny. I know that definitely in the beginning when it came to masks, it was annoying. It felt cumbersome. You forgot them, and now I can't get my damn burrito, But like anything, sometimes you get used to something. And I remember the day that I allowed the lockdown to take over my life is when I came home and I was like taking like a long shit. And I realized I still had my mask on in my own damn house.
So, yeah, I was about to say, I went on this intermediate mountain bike trail today, and I'm not a good mountain biker yet. I'm just getting into it. And intermediate basically means way above my level, apparently, because I was not ready for that. And I was just like, oh, I'm not going to make it onto this stream because I'll be dead. But but I realized halfway through it, I was wearing my mask. I was just like, I'm like deep breathing, like freaking out, and I was like, oh yeah, this will probably help to take this off in the middle, 1,000 feet up on a trail somewhere. But
yeah, it's hard because there's so many conflicting opinions, and you know what I'm saying? Like, we live in this strange world where you just don't know like where to take your information from, but that's sort of why I don't have such a like ego attached to it, because I'm like, well, we're all just trying to figure it out. Like, I can't be so pissed at you because who knows? I mean,
yeah,
I hate to say that, like 2020, maybe you, because you're in this world of being a creative and whatnot. But I mean, me, like I'm like an ambivert. I could be in the house or I could be out of the house, but I'm chill either way, And like when this all happened, I moved from working. I worked in work in an office. I work in a media company, and so we went from working in an office. And I worked at that place for over 8 years, and so working from home. And as soon as I started working from home, I'm here the whole time. It's hard. I know people don't want to be cooped up, but different people are being affected differently by this. And for me, it was so freeing to be like, damn, I can play piano anytime. Like, I'm sitting on my laptop doing work, and I can turn around and play my piano or something.
Right.
So I don't know, but I'm working, so nothing has changed, and I know that's not true for everyone. So I'm sorry, like, unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's I actually just realized that my lens is like on a knife. Let's see. Nope, that would take it off. Yeah, see, I should have went ahead and used that Blackmagic camera. I don't know how to manually focus myself with this little
people think
lens.
I'm hosting the stream.
Yeah, I think they do. They definitely do. Here, I'm gonna pull up this little screen. Okay, so if I touch my face on the little flap screen that comes up, I'm using a Canon M50 as a webcam. All right, there.
Oh wow, I can like read the freaking chat.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can also be like,
amazing.
Let me try and get like the comment that has the least context and put it up on the screen here. There we go.
Wow, this is great. What up, Rainbow Messenger? What up, guys? What up? What up? A lot of people, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Guys, go ahead and unsubscribe from me. Now you know how I actually feel.
No, yeah, it's weird. I think also, though, like, since I've been a musician for so long, that I have a bit of I think I'm just used to people always telling me like, well, I'm not going to listen to your music anymore because you eat this type of chocolate bar, you know? So it's just kind of like, all right, I've heard it all. I've kind of, but yeah.
Have you lost your soul? Have you lost your soul yet?
You know, it's weird to say on a stream, but I really want to experience ego death. Since we were talking about ego a moment ago, that's like my goal for 2021 is to fully experience ego death for even 10 minutes, whether that requires, you know, some drugs or whether that requires some sort of like soul searching. That's something I absolutely want to do. I want to just not feel human at all and just feel part of the universe, even only for 5 minutes. Like I feel like that's the perspective I need now.
I don't know. I felt that the first time I had some good, some CBD, but that was a while ago. So now I don't know if I can get back to there without going too heavy, but I don't know. I just felt like, I just thought, had you lost your soul now that you made the Behringer video and you realized how vicious the certain people can be.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it. You know,
Of course.
I didn't expect the anti-Semitism, and I'm not.
That was bizarre.
Right, and here's the thing: is like I don't even want to say if I'm Jewish or not. Most people who know me well know that, but like I don't even want to like dignify that with a response. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm not or I am, and it's like I don't want to say that because I think it's just stupid. I think it's just like who cares? Like it doesn't, anyway. So the anti-Semitism stuff was just weird, like being interrogated about being Jewish. It's just like, wait, are we talking about synths or are we talking about like what is going on? Because, yeah, and a lot of people also had like weird theories about Behringer being a Nazi company and things. And it's like, I mean, we could say a lot of mean things about Behringer, but that one makes no sense whatsoever if you actually know the history of the company. Like, no, they're not a Nazi company. They're like, they're just an ambitious capitalist company. That's all.
Yeah. And Behringer, honestly, I hate to say this, I really do. Who was I talking to? I was talking to, I think, Jade Wee. I don't know if you know who she is from Dallas Jammin'.
Yeah.
I talk to her like every single day, and we were just talking about like how like what like Behringer accidentally did something by doing those things behind the scenes, like with the whole lawsuits and certain tactics that they use, is that no matter how much we even like the Behringer gear, we just won't do the videos because of the community on either side. There is no winning. You don't win even doing. It's so much easier to do any other product. And yeah, for me, the VC, I talked about it like last week's stream, the VC 340 or whatever, their vocoder. I wanted that so badly like 2 years ago. Yeah. And now I just, I'm not mad about it. It's just like, I'm not gonna, I might own it privately, but I will not talk about it publicly just because it's just so, you're just opening a can. I would open a can of worms I don't want to open.
Yeah, and a part of me actually feels bad. Like some part of me feels a little bad about making that video because I do feel like there are a lot of creators in our community who, may have gotten paid to make a Behringer video or something like that, even if it was through like a distributor. And now every time they do that, there's going to be people in the comments pointing to my video being like, you're a bad person because you reviewed this product, which is not fair. Like that's not fair either. I think like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and a lot of creators need to make a living. And
I remember someone posted a comment in another video, and they were like, the only reason YouTubers are hating on Behringer is because they're the only company that won't send them free stuff. And I literally wanted to write back to that person and just was like, every company will send you free stuff. You just have to decide that you're going to go down that route with them. So like, don't try to make Behringer this like heaven sent angel who's like saying like fuck the police, like who's just going after these rogue like these rogue reviewers. It's like they are every other company.
Yeah.
They're a conglomerate. Like
Yeah, the free stuff thing was really funny because it's like like a lot of people are like, you're just making this video because you want a 2600 for free. And it's like, how much money do you think it costs in time and gear and everything else to make a video like of that scale? Like, it's a huge process that I would much rather work at, drive an Uber for a day and then buy a 2600. Like it just doesn't add up to like spend a week making a video and then somehow all of that's for like a free synth that, I could have, but, and then obviously like, I'm sure you're the same. Like we have no shortage of boxes of synths, that require that we're sort of tied to making some sort of content for.
Well, not in a long time. I had to stop a few years back. I've said this story before. I think this was maybe 3 years ago, because before that I had borrowed some stuff from Nord. That was the first thing I ever got borrowed. And then I borrowed something from Dave Smith. And then I had a really bad experience with a company who basically, like, I told them, like, I don't want the gear. Like, I'll give it back. And they're like, no, like, you are going to make these, like, videos because, like, blah, blah, we want these videos. And I just was so turned off with the whole game at that point. And I'm not going to say who the brand is. People know probably if they're in here. But yeah, it just was. And the company's cool. It's just, I mean, the whole like gear in exchange for content is fine if we're at a place of like understanding. So I don't know. At this point, I always just tell them like, you can send me whatever you want, but don't you expect anything like in return.
Yeah.
Like I don't. And don't even reach out and say, hey, what about a video? Like, I'm going to ignore you. Like,
yeah, I think, it is kind of funny because there are some things I haven't done videos on where I have gear and like one of them, this is something I want to do a video on, but is the Yamaha Montage. But it's such an insane synth that it's like, I don't even know where to begin. Like the video has to be like 5 hours. Like it's the craziest synth I've ever used. Yeah.
Perfect thing. Yeah. That was one of the things that turned me off was the Dave Smith Rev 2 is I really was like, oh wait, this is a job now. Making this video is like, and now I just think about it like, dude, that's fucking Ziv. That's loop hop, dude. Like if you need these bullet points and you need a 45-minute video of features, I don't even want it. Like with the Digitact and the Digitone. So I borrowed them from Zounds, right? If I had got them from Electron, not saying they would have specifically wanted me to do some things, but when you're talking about getting like $1,600 worth of stuff, start to, there's no such thing as a free lunch, I feel like. So you start to end up in this like world of like, so for me, I love this whole like new Zounds thing I've been doing where it's like they let me borrow the shit and it literally like unlimited loan, and then I just send it back, and there's literally like I don't pay shipping, and get to try out stuff that I can't afford because like I used to buy all the synths for the channel, but it was really like I don't know,
it adds up fast.
A pain.
I'm trying. This person paid thanks Sean, $2 for a question. So I might as well answer I'm not encouraging people to pay me to answer questions. I just feel like I feel obligated now to do this. How did IDM become part of your music? So I started out with jazz when I was young, and I was obsessed with Buddy Rich when I was a kid. If you're familiar with Buddy Rich drum solos, his stuff is just phenomenal. And I feel like Buddy Rich on a drum machine is drill and bass, which is kind of IDM. And then at the time, definitely was inspired by some of Aphex Twin's earlier stuff in the 90s. And I think it just sort of went from there. I think I never considered myself an IDM artist. Like a lot of people call me a breakcore artist. Never considered myself that. I just sort of did what I did, and that even turned into like weird acoustic stuff. And so, yeah, pretty boring answer to that question. All right.
Should I just stay out of the chat? I'm reading random comments and I'm
Yeah.
Oh, people want to talk about music.
Oh.
And gear. Oh, okay. That's
So yeah, I don't take offense to this stuff at all. Not one bit. I know Tom. Me and Tom, Square Pusher, have very, very similar taste. Like we both love Jaco Pastorius. We both love Buddy Rich. We both even had DR660s when we started out before we were releasing music. And I've been inspired by Tom a bunch in the past. So I feel like we kind of went in different directions in the last 10 years, but under no circumstances would I be offended because somebody says that I sound like Square Pusher, that I've taken influence from Square Pusher, because I think Tom's an absolutely brilliant musician. Okay.
Wait, isn't that just how it goes though? Like, I mean, you listen to something, you like that thing, you recreate it.
Yeah.
Like,
Kinda, it's funny though, because I feel like Square Pusher and me were both really what's the word I want to look at? I think we were both just so heavily inspired by Jaco Pastorius and his like virtuoso style that
Sure.
we ended up, making electronic versions of that, which ends up sounding, like I don't know. I have albums that came out that sound a lot like Square Pusher's album, but they both came out at the same time. But at the same time, like me and Tom were talking at the time too, and so it was kind of but
okay,
yeah,
that's a story.
yeah. It's funny because in this version of the chat, in this StreamYard thing, you don't get to see the ones that are like automatically banned, which is nice.
Oh,
because usually you get to see.
oh,
like
that's
those,
cool.
Yeah, usually you get to see those ones that are like automatically banned, where it's like F you.
I've got those always throw you off. Those
Yeah.
throw like your brain off because you're trying to engage, but because it's grayed and you see it, it's automatically more. It's like more distracting than it should be, because you want
Right.
those to just go by, but you're just like, that's good.
Yeah, and they're always so horrible. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I will say this. Either it's because I did it as a banned word or people are just nice to me, but no N-word in 2020. Maybe people... Oh, it's still not over, guys. Someone can go ahead. I'll see
Had
it.
one. God, when did I have one? I had one not long ago. It was really recent. Yeah, and I was just kind of like, really? Huh. And it was like using that weird like vaporwave text too. Like they were like concealing it with some weird like odd text. Yeah, but
People love it. People look, I'm not like some innocent fucking bystander here, you know what I'm saying? Like in my past days as like younger, I can't remember exact points, but dude, I swear I've been like mean to people online. But the weird thing is, coming onto YouTube, ever since I got onto YouTube, you realize that like you become more one of those rational people that even if you start a comment to someone, you start to think of how like really important is it that they see it, even if it's a good comment. Sometimes it's just like, okay, maybe, or even like what is it, like nitpicky comments. You start to be like, look, this person made a video for free on the internet.
Yeah.
This is not freaking Wonder Woman 1984, which is also a weird thing. A movie like Wonder Woman 1984, you can't like go comment on it like on the like actual like HBO Max or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
on this thing where people are spending their free time between their 9-to-5 job, this is where you allow the like legit like nitpicking.
Yeah, and it's funny because like an interesting thing that I was talking about this. I did a stream. It was for a ACLU fundraiser months back with I had Adam Neely and Sarah Longfield on there, And what
I like Sarah Longfield. Great.
Yeah, Sarah's great. Yeah, she yeah. So me and Adam were talking about like how every now and then you'll get a comment that just says something like, "Oh, there's you need to use a better de-esser." And that actually like hits you, and you're kind of like, oh, okay. And then the next time you make a video, you actually think about that a little bit, and it sort of sticks in your head. And those negative comments, even though you're so good at rolling with the punches, every now and then they stick with you. And then I thought about it, and I was like, Sarah's comment section, or Bad Snacks comment section, or any female comment section is just a dumpster fire. Like the amount of crap that female people that female YouTubers get is just it makes me want to rip my hair out. I'm just like, she did a fine job with the miking. She did a fine job with the video. Like, you don't need to tell her that she needs to do better. Give her advice. And it was funny because Sarah was there, and like we sort of like went through I was like going through her comments while talking about it, and I could barely even finish the conversation. I was like, I wanted to like respond to these people on her channel. It's just insane.
Stop it, Ben. Stop. You're virtue signaling.
Yeah.
You're being nice to people. You're virtue signaling. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, but I think about that a lot. Like that's like one area where I actually feel like, yeah, if I were a female, this would be a lot harder if I were female, I think, just because people seem to just always tell them that they could be doing it better. Or guys do, they're like, I could help you with the video if you do the, it's sort of like.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That's what we need. You to help.
Yeah. We got a good question here. Oop, not that one. Hold on. All right, here we go.
Traded to the living, yo.
Thank you. Hydrosynth desktop. I've used both. I have the
Hydrosynth desktop.
Yeah, I have the keyboard. The keyboard has polyphonic aftertouch, which is pretty awesome. That's the only reason I have the keyboard. I have a major real estate issue in this room, but I was like, yeah, I need to get that keyboard. Yeah. So, yeah.
How much is the desktop?
I think considerably less than the keyboard.
$7?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and the keyboard's like, I think the keyboard could be had for like 12 or something. But the polyphonic aftertouch was huge for me. That was a big deal. Next up. Thank you. Yeah, I'm familiar with her. I'm gonna look. Yeah.
Yo, Dewan Sparkles, what's up? I had to look at the chat for a moment.
Yeah.
Analog Weapon. Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah. It's funny because like new comments will come in and
man,
then I'll highlight the wrong one.
StreamYard's strong with these. I love it.
Yeah. This isn't true, believe it or not. This is not true.
Hold on.
So the thing on the screen here, it might be harder if you were female, but you'd have 5 times the subscribers. This is something that I thought for a long time, and I've actually, trust me, I've been crunching numbers on this because I do want to do a video on this in the future. And so I've been crunching a lot of numbers, and this is actually something that's not really true, or the engagement rate is way lower. I'm not going to name any names, but there are some female channels that have a lot more subscribers than I do, for example. But if they upload a video, they have way less views than my videos have, which is... Yeah, so it's not really that, it's not making them the ad revenue that you would assume that it's making them.
Yeah, when Bad Snacks was talking about how much she was making per month, I was like, her channel has about twice as many subs as I do.
Yeah.
And yeah, when she said like her best month, I was like,
yeah,
I don't know what fucking YouTube AdSense rate you got, but... Not that I'm mad about her getting like $500 a month or something, but it's just, I was just thinking like her channel's twice as large. She isn't a slacker on video. She does her fair share, but her ad rev is definitely lower.
Yeah, I reached out to her about that as well because I'm a big fan about like that type of transparency thing because I think that helps, especially for artists. I think that helps people out a lot, other artists, to know, like even my Spotify video, I feel like that a lot of aspiring musicians were kind of like, oh, I thought you were set for life, but nope. Yeah. Do you know this person? Suzanne Ciani? I don't know who that is. Oh, you're muted right now, I think. Did I accidentally mute you? No.
Have
okay,
I
you
been
did.
talking this entire time? I've been saying so many terrible things.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Guys. Suzanne Ciani, she's great.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, Moog. Think of Moog.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, you make a good point with the female. Yeah, the whole female thing is because I thought this years ago. I remember this. I said, if I were a woman, I would become like a gamer girl, and I would just clean these dudes
Yeah,
out
right.
because they're all going to be simping for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the problem is like, sorry, not every woman streamer is Pokimane. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's not. It's not. And also, the funny thing, I met a girl on on YouTube recently. She commented on one of my videos, and she's also like a musician and synth person, right? And she's been doing it for years, like 4 years. She is nice and good looking, and so I was like, yeah, reach out to me. We'll talk about whatever. It was like a week or so, and guess what? The first thing she messaged me was, she said, "Hey, I just wanted some advice on like very like cruel comments. Like that's the
Yeah.
only thing she's just, I need some advice of how to handle it." And I was like, you know what? Sucks. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, it gets to you. Like even with the Behringer thing even. It wasn't like one comment or anything that like really got me down, but I think like after days and days of it, I was just kind of
yeah,
like, man, I'm really tired of this. Like this is just annoying. Like it's just annoying to constantly see this argument happening on every facet of social media. I really just wanted to, put my head underground for a bit, but you can't really do that if you're, doing what we're doing.
but they have revenue, Ben. The
Yeah.
millions of dollars of ad revenue for making a video that gets 70,000 views. I mean,
Yeah.
you're rich.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Sorry, Jade Wee. Is that her name?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've never spoken to her. Huge fan of hers though. She's like one of the first synth YouTubers that I subscribed to.
Oh, nice.
When she did a video like explaining her role, like what she does with it, like being a single mom, and or at the time she was, at least I don't know what she is now. I don't know. I was just like really inspired by that. I was just like, that is so like I don't know. I was just like, how awesome is that she's like pushing out all these videos while like taking care of, her kid. I don't know. Just
Yeah, I mean,
such a unique story.
there's so much to the story, but like that I'm not going to share. But
Yeah.
she's I didn't know for a long time that she had a little daughter. I didn't know. I met her. We were friends for a long time, and it was like a conscious thing that she was not wanting to just put out there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, yeah. Her and I are literally like, if there's two people who are like the best friends off of YouTube, it's her and I.
Yeah.
Like, we literally talk every other day or every day, legit.
Yeah. Well, tell her she's an inspiration. Like seriously, like when I started my channel, I was watching a lot of her, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's just
she'll love
inspiring.
that.
Yeah.
She's definitely one of the people who has had a tough time,
Yeah.
Like, I took 6 months off, up until like May of this year or whatever. Like, I took from October until May off,
Yeah.
October 2019 to May 2020 off, just because, like, I hate to say it, but when you're not getting rich off of something, and then you're also getting like heavily, like, I'm not gonna go as far as saying harassed, but just like hated on or something, and not even crazy amount of hate. It's just those stick with you. Like, I can't remember the 100 nice comments, and I hate to say that, but like, I'll remember the one comment when someone just said, like, last week, someone was like, "Your videos suck," and I was just like, But all of them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even though everybody seems to like him, and even though like all these thumbs up, and even though all these things, I'm gonna listen to that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
horrible psychology, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you go like a lot of people, if they go to a hotel, they won't be like, man, all of the paint job on this wall was great, and the
Yeah.
drywall, you don't see the cracks in the wall at all. Instead, they'll be like, oh, the hand soap was scented too strongly,
Yeah.
2 stars. I think we have a question for you up here.
The Yelp effect.
Have you memorized any synth preset names? The only one I know is on that Zoom UFO round thing, that Zoom drum machine. You know what I'm talking about? That like Q, I forgot the name. I did a review on it. I don't even remember the name of it. But is that like round frisbee drum machine that Zoom made?
Sure.
They have a preset called Flashbulb Snare. And I was like, whoa! I was in this hotel looking at it, and that's the only preset I think I've memorized. Other than that, then I feel like Richard Devine's name is in every other preset.
That's kind of a tough question because, like, you don't really remember preset names that much. And, here's the worst thing because I don't remember preset names anymore. I only remember preset numbers because I use the Prophet 6 and it only has numbers. So I don't. Literally, the number that defines me is like Prophet 400 on the Prophet 6, number
Yeah.
400.
The ARQ 48.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's so weird. I gave that away.
ARQ 48.
The visualizations for the sample contest were impressive. So visualizations, man, I use I like GLSL, which is not a program, it's a language. I like Magic. Sounds like a dumb answer. What is the full name of it? Magic. I think it's called Magic Music Visualizer. That one's fun. I would definitely check that out. That's cheap too, and it reminds me of like Winamp's customizable music visualizer. What else? If it's not real time, Cinema 4D, obviously. NVIDIA just released a bunch of tools. Unity Engine. You could make a lot of really fun music visuals with. I'm just all over the place with that type of stuff. Oh, and processing. Definitely. If you're interested in this world, definitely download processing. It's free. It's open source, and it will teach you how to code in a really great way. All right. There's so many comments.
I know. I feel bad sometimes that I don't know. There's like this happy medium. I feel like Jade and I were talking, and she was just saying like she just wants to make music, like in the chat. Like she doesn't want to like talk so much. But I was like, I hate to say it, but as creators on YouTube or whatnot, and I did this to myself early on. I was like, no, I am a musician and everyone loves me for music. But reality, they want the video. Like, the video and the personality are really part of, like, almost the majority of why they're here versus, like, the music. And it's weird to say that, I guess.
No, it makes, that's sort of how it is. Yeah, I mean, it just makes certain things more palatable. And, I'm trying to think of things that I reviewed that were hard to make exciting, even though they were exciting to me. Okay, I did a video recently, like a couple months ago, on it was a little Chinese effects pedal that just had like distortion and delay, and it was basically like, because people are asking me like, hey, I have a son who's learning guitar, what should I buy? And I was like, all right, well, let's go to Alibaba and look around over there, or AliExpress, and and sure enough, I came up, but as a review, it's like, okay, so I'm gonna do like Hydrasynth, and then I'm gonna do some big modular thing, and then do this like little $100 effects box. But I feel like that's where personality makes it work. But
it's the only way it makes it work. But it is, I feel like it's hard sometimes because like there is such a balance, and I think you have just like the persona that you've carved out has like touched a lot of different types of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't like to speak about specific people because it sounds like I'm marginalizing specific creators when I say that they are this type of person or whatnot. But like, a channel like I talked to Simon, and he's great, right? And his channel is so much more interesting because you don't know what you're gonna get. One week it might be he gets like a cool new synth thing, and then another week he's putting thongs on a freaking bass guitar and playing the freaking G strings or whatever, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's cool. Like, but the only way it survives is that he has a personality that lets you come in. You know, like the hardest part I feel like as being a creator is the way, and I kind of wanted to talk about this, but the way that we see ourselves on our channels and the way that the majority of people see our channels is incredibly different because we've created every video in sequence, knowing that we have had some sort of personal growth or creative like evolution, right? But the majority of people who come in are seeing out of context one-off videos and making an entire judgment if they don't decide, you know, because they're doing a search term or something, or they're getting a suggestion.
Right.
So it's really hard because a lot of people have commented on certain videos like, what a dick. Like, I can't believe you, the micro freak, what a dick. And I'm like, dude, I made a whole like evolution of videos about like, oh, you know, I came around to the micro freak, it being one of the most valuable synths like for a low price. Like, but that took like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's kind of weird because you want to lash at those people, but you know they're just there as a normal viewer.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. I started my channel because I'd spent 3 years working on an album and not really communicating with anybody. And I remember one time I got my hair cut, and this person was just talking to me while cutting my hair, and I like was having trouble finishing sentences. And I remember like I just wasn't speaking to people. I was like speaking to my mom every now and then, and I was just like really, really isolated. And I was like, well, you know, I'm just gonna review some gear. Maybe I'll do that once this album's out. And I did it, and now it's sort of led me here. But yeah, it is funny to now I talk too much. Now I can't. Now I'm always like, oh, I got to make this video shorter. I cannot keep talking and talking and talking. But it's odd. Yeah, I'm gonna hit this. Ooh, maybe. Yeah. I might do that for another $5. Yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to get into melody stuff, but it's. Yeah, where do you start? I suppose you could start there, but I feel like Adam Neely does such a good job that I'm always. Yeah. Speaking of melody stuff, I listened to some of your music. Did you listen to a lot of gospel when you were younger?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm like a Methodist church.
Okay, got it.
Pianist's son. Right. So yeah.
Okay. Immediately heard that. I was because I'm from South Chicago, so it's just like gospel and jazz, and yeah, I was like, oh, gospel. Okay, you just don't hear that often in this space that we live in.
Yeah, you know, did you do some stuff for them?
No.
Okay, well, it's quite an interesting process, and I think you're probably better as a like person who creates music regularly. Maybe you can tell me if you don't, but I find myself having a hard time making projects. Like, people ask all the time, what about where's like your music on Spotify or whatever? And I'm really just like, well, you know, I would have to cut out YouTube for like 2 months. I'd have to pre-record videos, then cut out YouTube entirely for 2 months. Literally don't think about it.
Yeah.
Just to make any cohesive type of music project, because I don't know if maybe you feel that way, but like YouTube videos and music composing it's literally feels like it's not the same side of the brain.
Yeah. I think in this last year, I managed to pull it off last year. I managed to finish an album that came out in March, and it was very tech heavy, and it was a lot of things that I covered. It was funny because like gear that I got sent for the channel ended up actually being used in some of the music and stuff, which I wouldn't normally expect.
Sure.
But this year, I don't know why everything I've been writing is jazz piano. It's just like
Okay, that's
long.
cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not going to be too much of a secret that my next album is going to be a jazz piano one, um,
I mean,
but
I
I've
like
already
that.
done that once, so it'll be part 2 of my jazz piano albums. Um,
I like that. I'm trying to cultivate. I mean, this next year coming up. I mean, I said this last year, but this year coming up, yeah, I definitely feel like I will make a conscious effort to cultivate two different sides of it, where I do have the music on Spotify and iTunes and wherever you get it, right? And then keep with the, you know, the normal business as usual on YouTube or whatever. It's
yeah,
just it sucks because like to make music for me, I have to go to this dark ass place, like very dark. And so
yeah,
and also it's kind of tough to act out. Like when I make music, I feel like I got to act the hell out. So I'm not really good at doing it in quarantine right now because I can't really act out real good. So I don't know.
yeah. I definitely need to be glued.
Yeah.
Like I need to not be interrupted much. Like it's even hard for me to like do laundry and make music at the same time because I know that in
Yeah.
45 minutes I'm gonna hear that buzzer and have to get up and like change it over or something. But that'd be really interesting to yeah. Sorry, traditional or contemporary jazz? I would say that probably um let's see. Sorry, let me add that.
Traditional
Uh
contemporary.
yeah. Well, when I think of traditional jazz, I think of like Autumn Leaves, and when I think of contemporary jazz, I think of like the crap that you hear on when you're on hold with Comcast. And so I think like I'm really inspired by Herbie Hancock, by like those playing styles and stuff. And so I think probably somewhere along those lines, probably not experimental, but definitely thick, if that makes any sense. And it's another question that um yeah, quick one. She realized she didn't like milk. Pretty um any other questions here that I'm missing? There's so many. It's hard to write Renroko music just because the instrument's limiting. The instrument's beautiful. It's my favorite instrument, I think, but it's very hard to write music for Renroko because like to write an entire album. But I could see myself doing it at some point in the future. And am I blown by or blown away by? Blown away. Yeah, his talent is incredible. He's an incredible musician. I can't wait until he gets like my age, or maybe at least like 35 or so. I feel like he'll get more focused. I don't know what the word is. Like
Right?
he seems kind of all over the place,
That
but
that's how I feel about Jacob Collier.
yeah.
It's the I mean, are you a fan of Bill Evans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think of Jacob Collier as like the possible Bill Evans that could never be, i.e.,
Yeah.
happy,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
like just so locked down in terms of like his sort of like mentorships that he's had and his technical skill. But I mean, I don't want to say, and this is going to sound like shit because I'm like a shitty asshole who went to Berkeley and shit, right? But like the amount of people who think that like training to understand how to play music fast and
Yeah.
efficiently makes you a good musician. And my thought is always if if no one else can sound like you, that's what makes you like have value like in the market. Like one of my favorite groups ever is like Outkast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like sure, there's other groups that could sound like Outkast, but it was at the times when they decided to make those albums that they made, nothing sounded like them in those moments, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'd love to see. Yeah, when Jacob Collier gets to be like 35 and
Divorced.
yeah, a few divorces. He's heavily drinking.
Like a Clonopin habit or something.
Yeah.
That's horrible. No, I mean, I think he's kind of like riding on this young, amazing musician that's better
Yeah.
than everybody else technically, and I bet that like he, I'm sure he is capable of writing really meaningful, impactful music, but I feel like all of the interests in him that are making money are still kind of almost like a circus show or something. Like they're just like, look at this kid, he's so good, guys, and he just sort of plays all his instruments, and then the show's over. And
Yeah.
the video of him explaining harmony to Herbie Hancock kind of made me slam my head against the desk. But have you seen that? It was like the wire.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was just like, and I thought that like it actually went, but just reading the title of the video, I was just like, what? Jacob Collier is going to explain harmony to Herbie Hancock? Like that's yeah.
There's something I have always thought about, like musicians who are so like, because this is always how I think of it. I went to Berkeley with you get ratings when you start, right?
Yeah.
You get like a number, right? And if you suck, then you're me when you start, right? And if there's people who start there as like they're giving them like sevens, but this person is better than the teacher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sure.
And man, I was next door to those people, or I hung out with that person, or I went to the practice room and we chilled or whatever. But like, I don't fucking hear those people. Those people don't even. They just stopped. They just whatever. You know what I'm saying? And there's people like Stevie Wonder, right? Yeah. Stevie Wonder has so many slick skills, and at the end of the day, I know that it's gonna sound like pretty like, well, what about the gear and what about, but realistically, like you're working with harmony and melody and rhythm.
Yeah.
Outside of that, ain't nobody care what the hell you used. They don't. The general public is who's consuming your music 99% of the time, not other musicians wondering.
Yeah, it's funny to like put it into this perspective, but I feel like there's a lot of musicians who got it, like if that makes sense, like
yeah.
like they get it, and it's almost like Jacob Collier knows more than what's good for him, if that makes any sense. Or you'll hear this man. I'm going to say this name and I hate it because I'm really good friends with BT, if you're familiar with him.
Oh, of course.
And yeah, I love Brian. He's the sweetest guy in the world. He did a project where it was like a Kickstarter where he worked with an orchestra. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking to myself, like when this first started, I wished him luck and everything, but I remember thinking to myself, I was like, you don't know how to write for an orchestra. like you know how to write music,
sure,
but you don't really know like how to write for a harp. You don't know like
sure.
how much of a like a flute player can't play a sustain for an hour, things like that. And you kind of have to learn that over time, and you kind of have to earn it, and only then are you actually able to like utilize all that knowledge in your darkest moment and write a piece that's actually meaningful. Otherwise, you're just going to have BT music, but with orchestra sounds, and which is what a lot of people are satisfied with that. But I feel like, I feel like there's a weird like earning your way into an instrument. It's very hard to describe, and it sounds like I'm gatekeeping a little bit, and I'm not. Maybe I am. I don't know. But
music is crippling when you start to know so much that you start to feel as if this is coming from me, a person who I was a good musician and songwriter before I went to college, right? When I went to college and they started to tell me, here are the notes in the key of X, whatever. Here are the chords you should play in the key of X. I had about I'm going to say maybe a year.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do music anymore. Yeah. I didn't want to do it because it was so like walled. But then the funny thing now is like because I moved on, whatever, I don't even think the keys and the walls and the structure are only there to maybe rein you back in to make something work. Like usually the thing I do the most is like I'll write the chorus and the verse as maybe two entirely different parts. Like I don't even like need them to match, right? Then all I think about is, okay, how do I go from A flat major to like B something? What chord do I need to do that's going to connect those chords? That's the only time I think about like any theory anymore.
Yeah. So like another interesting thing, like I like how Giant Steps fits into this whole conversation too. I probably talk about this a lot too. Like I've talked about it in podcasts and stuff as well.
Sure.
Like Giant Steps is such a great example of this because I feel like, like a good musician, a very skilled musician can get to the point where they can memorize or even sight read the chords of Giant Step. And then even improvise over it and actually stay within all of the scales that are constantly dot, 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 changing that speed.
Sure.
But sounding good when you do it is masterful. Yes. That's the issue. It's like I can play, like I'm up to the point where I could play Giant Steps. I could play the keys, but it just doesn't sound good. I'm not able to express myself at that level yet. Like that's, maybe when I'm 50, I'll be able to do that. But
I don't think I'm sure I've heard Giant Steps.
I was waiting for you to bust out a sax and I was gonna be like, God damn. Yeah.
No, I want to see the changes.
Oh yeah, they're complete. They're like, it's one of those songs where you look at it and you're like, nope. Yeah, but
I'm gonna be the only one with the real book without Giant Steps in it.
Oh yeah, it's in one of the fake books.
Yeah. I have the new real book, unfortunately. Surprised I'm not open to Autumn Leaves because I play that constantly.
Yeah, that's like that's my favorites. But I think it's B major 7, D7, G major 7, B flat 7, E. No. Oh God, do I have a keyboard in front of me? No, it's not on. Yeah, I can't think of it. I'd need to actually like sit at the piano, but
yeah, I mean, I think the funniest thing about like where we come from in terms of like maybe learning music or whatever is when I'm on my, and maybe it's because I'm in the realm of like equipment and production or whatever, man. I have gotten asked in the last 4 years, like, about what synth will like be better than the X synth, right?
Yeah.
And then the person will like send me their music or whatever. I'm like, yeah, cool, that's cool. Been asked, hey, like, what could I do to like maybe improve my music skills twice in 4 years? But every week, 3 times a week, it's which synth is going to be better for like this, and it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
like, I hate to be a dick, but it's just like in reality, like I don't know. The amount of notes or the amount of whatever, and I'm not sitting here as like Mr. Virtuoso of everything. It's just. When I hear people play things, sometimes some people just have it. Like Stevie Wonder is gonna kill everyone, not just because he's a good keyboardist or whatever. He just knows, he knows what speaks to like the emotional part of things. And my thought is, I always want to think of like music as like an emotional thing, like a major chord makes you feel like this, or like a major minor seventh makes you feel like this, right? Versus the correctness of the theory behind it or whatever, you know?
Yeah, Stevie Wonder's songs are very close to melodically perfect, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can't really think of a way that they could be improved upon, and
harmonically so advanced, yet so
accessible.
Palatable by everything. Yeah. It's almost unbelievable to like listen. I listen to like Inner Visions, like not all the time, but listening to Inner Visions and then looking at the chord structures behind those things and seeing the melodies that he has flowing through, it's incredible.
Yeah, the isn't she lovely is always the one that's like blown my mind the most. Like that is such a odd, like the da 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 da, like the even the rhythm of it is just like, so odd. All right, this is a good question for both of us. What do you feel are the most challenging yet rewarding music fundamentals or concepts that you've studied or learned in your careers? Chordal voicings. That's an odd one. That's a crazy one. That's like, yeah, to just be able to play, like on guitar, chordal voicings, just to be able to play a C major all the way up in different chordal voicings. That definitely, I actually have a Berkeley book on chordal voicings. That's like kind of explains the concept and gives practice routines and stuff. How about you? Do you have a?
I mean that's such a good one. I actually just watched a video the other day about shell voicings on guitar. Because when I play guitar, I'm not the same person as playing piano, something I've played for so long and I'm very good at it per se. I play guitar like a rudimentary kid who got like the learn guitar like on CD-ROM,
Right, yeah.
because that's how I learned. But yeah, I think I would say probably that's mine. Like I can't, like voicings are so important in changing the style. Like, do you know Peter Dyer? You know of Peter Dyer?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
he does a lot of like he's very good. He's very very good at piano and whatever keys or whatever. His voicing knowledge is just on a whole other level, and I always I like talk to Peter. I'm like, damn, he's got those like contemporary hip hop voicings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can't do real like certain types of like hip hop voicing or neo soul right without specific voicings. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, you could even like simply like changing the bass note on a normal
Yes.
chord
Yes.
is so powerful, and yeah, I mean, it breathes such new life to everything. A good BT question.
AI.
I'm not totally familiar. I think I've like talked with him on Twitter about this a couple times, but what if you could expand on this? I know that there's a little bit delay between the chat and here, but if you could expand on what his thoughts of AI in the music space are. I know that there's a lot of people who think that there's like AI bots that are making Spotify music and stuff that are driven by Spotify. Which I have not found any evidence. I mean, I tried looking into that a whole lot for my video, and I haven't been able to find anything. And I mean, I'm pretty into AI music, all the way, from Boolean stuff all the way to neural nets. Like it's my thing. I'm into it for sure, but I just don't really. I'm not sold on it yet. I'm not blown away. But I want to see what he's referring to with BTs. Maybe I could search this at the same time too.
Good old computers making music. I mean,
Yeah. Jamie, look that up. Yeah. All right.
I mean, in reality, right? Doesn't the computer make the music anyway? Like we're just there as it's giving us the tempo, it's telling us the metronomes, telling us what tempo, it's perfect, and we're quantizing it. And
Yeah, it's like there's. I see it as a sliding scale, because if you listen to random music, it's just going to be white noise. It's literally just, that's
Sure.
what random sounds like. And so, you're dialing in predetermination. You're dialing that in, and
Yeah.
it stops being random. And it's just kind of funny because, like, when we think of, like, generative music, we're really just talking about like very specific determined perimeters that we're like putting things in and allowing it to go to these notes. And at that point, is it really generative, or did somebody write it and just allow a couple random things to exist in it? So I'm going to look back for Overlander. Oh yeah, he is saying artists. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Oh, that's an interesting concept. Kind of like, yeah, what I'm talking about, like copyright those perimeters. I mean, in my last album, there are things that are randomized melodies on the modular that I ended up playing guitar with or over, or playing bass behind to give it some sort of structure. And those are copyrighted. So maybe that's... It's funny because I feel like maybe he didn't get his $5 worth in that answer. But, thank you so much for the money, everybody. I kind of thank you. At the nonprofit, the burnout that happens to young people working in that space and how it's influenced. I don't know if my ethic is exceptional. So I started a place called Alpha Basic Music Center in Chicago in 2011. And the whole idea was that music lessons cost a lot, especially in Chicago. And the whole idea is that all of the profit we were going to make, all of the overhead that we made, then we would subsidize that for lower income children. And this is a neighborhood that was kind of on the edge, like there's a lot of gang activity and stuff, and so it was really important that kids had a place to go after school, because their parents were working full-time, or their parent was working full-time, and they literally just didn't have anywhere to go after school, which is like really, really bad in a neighborhood like that. I mean, that's how you end up with kids getting killed. And so it became really important not only to do that, but also it wasn't so much about music. It was about giving them a tool to allow them to develop beyond just the necessities. Because I feel like a lot of people look at children, and I've been hearing this with the Behringer thing too, when people are like, oh yeah, hungry kid, have a synth, and like things like that. And it's like, kids aren't fucking turtles. Like, you need to give them more than food and shelter. You need to give them something to be creative with. And I grew up in Englewood, which is a really rough neighborhood in Chicago. There was a lot of gun violence. Some that I was involved in, not as a gang member, but just as a bystander. And having an instrument is what gave me like my soul and what eventually got me out of that area. And so I'm really, really passionate about that. And that's what led me to have that school. Now, I wasn't a teacher in that school because I didn't take any, I didn't have music lessons when I was a kid, so I don't know the structure properly. I have a better idea of it now than I did then. So I hired other teachers and had that. That school eventually turned into a nonprofit community center called 3240 that when I moved down here, I just left in other hands, and it sort of spread out into different areas. That establishment is no longer existent. So that's, as far as my work ethic today, I don't really know. I mean, I've thought about like doing that again, but I think that there's some other areas that I feel like I probably have a little bit more that I could help a bit more with right now. So especially, I don't know, the area I'm in Georgia, I keep thinking about it though, because it's like there is an interesting blend of lower income and higher income people, and it does seem like a place where that exact thing could exist here too. Because I live like north of Atlanta in sort of like, I don't know, yeah, it's like not a rich neighborhood, but there's a rich neighborhood nearby, so I don't know. But
Atlanta, the spot, man.
Yeah, Atlanta's something. Yeah, it's funny. Atlanta's starting to finally get expensive. Not expensive compared to LA. It's not expensive. Atlanta's finally starting to like people are figuring out that it's warm here, and it's there's a lot of nature and things like that. So it's kind of funny because I feel like I got here at the right time in terms of like buying a home and stuff, but I don't know how long I'm gonna stay. So
hey, you're gonna be my real estate broker. I need to get a rental property out there. You let me know.
I'm doing residencies here starting. Really? Yeah, and a couple, depending on how COVID works. I'm doing some residencies where people can just literally stay in a guest room and like grab anything they want out of my studio as long as I'm not using it on that particular day. And if they want to do a vlog, they can do it. If they want to do, not obviously, like I think it's probably going to be the most beneficial for people who don't have that much gear.
Sure.
But yeah, that's something I'm doing this year that'll be interesting because I do have extra room in the house, and it seems like the logical thing to do when you're a YouTuber who has too much gear, or a recording artist who has too much gear.
Wait, so it's a personal question, even though you brought it up before. You're married.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to talk to like people about this. How do you balance? I mean, I don't know how long you've been married or all these things, but like, I've found it hard to balance my, I work a regular career, being a creative, and then relationships. I just end up lying to myself and saying I'm not a workaholic, but then I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is definitely difficult to balance. I feel like there's just like this certain amount of time that you spend with, like the amount of time that I would normally cut out and spend playing video games or watching a TV show, which I try to do for like a small portion of the day every day, otherwise I'll go insane.
Yeah.
Now I just do it with, my wife. But she's not used to that. That's not how every other relationship was like,
Sure, yeah.
and so, but sadly, this is not a
Sob story over here.
well, no, I mean, she's English, and there's a lot of immigration things going on, and so she's actually going home in January in a few months, and so part of that residency will also be like I'll just have this big house to myself.
Okay.
And I'm not really because I'm not sure, with COVID and immigration, all that, I'm not really sure how long it'll be until I can see her what's going on. So yeah, but it's in terms of like any relationship historically, it's always been I'm a workaholic for sure. And I feel, but I'm very honest about that in the beginning, right? Like I'm very like like I think if anybody's like to the point where they would, where in the past, if anybody was in the point where they would date me, they already knew that I was a workaholic. It's not like
Sure.
I'd be like, surprise, I do 500 different things every day. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm still lying to myself then, because I'm at that point where, I mean, in the world of like in reality, like I talk to Jade about this all the time, is I'm like, you do realize in the realm of like creative success, we could fall a lot further down, in terms of like, I mean, about how YouTube works. Like it's as close to a real job. Like that whenever people say like, oh, YouTube's not a real job, I'm like, it's as close to a real job as possible as can be, because you're getting a direct deposit or a check on the same day every month without fucking fail. So as long as you're, hitting those numbers, you're getting a steady income. You know what I'm saying? So it's bizarre because like, I also like run my own media company, and the amount of times I got to send a fucking invoice, and it's like, when are they going to pay? Oh, 45 days past when they go live, and you wonder when. YouTube's like the ultimate, like, you don't pay taxes up front, but it's as close to like a 9 to 5 as possible in a weird way.
Really? Yeah, it is. And it's funny because I used to do a lot of ad composing and stuff, and so I'm definitely used to like the invoicing stuff being an issue and weird. I do not have any children. Did you ever want kids? Is that ever a thing on your?
No. I'm trying to get to your level where I have the dog and the wife that will tolerate my.
I just read an article about. This is a weird thing to talk about, but I just read an article about how after the age of 40, like all these, basically your sperm just becomes garbage. It just becomes like real, like all of a sudden there's a lot more room for the child to have things like autism and stuff.
Oh,
so I was just, like,
I thought it just wouldn't make any kids. Oh, my bad.
No, it just becomes like not as good as it used to be. in terms of like being healthy to reproduce with. And it was funny because I always sort of thought of myself as like, yeah, well, I'll always be able to have kids. And it recently just put that like biological clock on where I was like, oh, I might actually be too late to responsibly do this.
The milk's gone bad up in there, man.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's
Yeah, it's been like a crisis in the last 2 weeks since I read that article. I was like, oh man, well, damn.
Does your wife want to have kids? I know the chat wants to hear all the fuck about this.
No, she has a son, but he's over in England, which is part of the reason she has to go. Because it's like a custody thing.
You got a good deal then.
Yeah, so she has a son, but I mean, I've had him here for a few months, but
Sure.
Since the pandemic, he's been like stuck over there, and it's been an international custody thing. So, yeah. Long story short, she's going over there to be with him, and I, as everybody's saying in the comments, I'll have my synths. So, yeah. But yeah. And
yes, finally.
Yeah.
You won.
This is true. It is much worse for a 40-plus woman. And Mick Jagger just had didn't Mick Jagger just have a baby?
I remember a few years back,
boy?
he did.
Yeah. So
Mick Jagger can afford to make kids and die the next day. So
yeah,
whatever.
This is a good question. How old do you think I am? I mean, this is stupid. Anybody could just type my name in and find out on Wikipedia. I'm 41. So I was gonna say like.
Oh no, Ben, you're not 17 and just starting on YouTube. Like you've passed the point of like relevancy in this whole thing. Is there any super young person in this like niche?
Oh man, I forgot the name. I would have to look it up. But there was somebody where I was like, oh, this guy's young. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody super young. I feel like they all went to TikTok. The super.
Oh
young
yeah.
people. Yeah.
Man, I'm not saying I missed the train, but I mean I guess that's like a thing that's like hot. I just don't get it. That's my thing. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't get it, and I tried. I have an account, and I tried a few things, and none of them really took off in any way. So. Oh well, but yeah, I feel like I missed it quite a lot. It's yeah. Oh, you know who's a good family man? I'm just thinking about this now. You know who balances family and
Bo.
this thing? Yep. Yeah. But he's like the most wholesome dude in the world, and yeah.
Bo makes me say, is it Sweden? Is that where they have it all together?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's so calm and collected and nice and everything. Yeah.
He's like, I'm taking a vacation now from YouTube, and my family also gets this time off, and he's making more children and stuff. I'm like over here, dying of
and I'm
smog.
Building a studio. Yeah,
yeah,
like I'm building a
his studio looks great.
His studio is beautiful.
Me and Bad Snacks.
Yeah,
we're fucking spirit animals over here, and our fucking like tiny little like hobbit homes paying. When she said she's paying $1,300 for a studio in Portland, I was like, no.
Yeah,
I was like, no.
That's like a mortgage around here. That's like straight up. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted for like $1,200 a month, you could live outside of Atlanta, owning a house, and the real estate here is crazy. Like, my house has gained like in 2 years, it's gained like 25% value. It's completely nuts, and that's like one of the reasons I bought one here. But yeah, yes. I'm reading some of these comments.
I know people probably like mad. Sorry, guys.
No, they're trying to talk about how old Andrew is and how old. Yeah.
Everyone's old.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew's having his first kid.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I wanna. Yeah, he is. That's right. That's me saying that my sperm is garbage does not mean that your children are autistic. Not to say the most like trite thing in the world, but like I have a godson who's autistic, and he's older now. He's like 18 now, Yeah, I mean, I've spent no problem whatsoever, and realistically, when you watch me and my schedule here, and when I talk about like my absence of knowledge of how to have a normal relationship with other human beings, I think it's pretty obvious that I probably fit somewhere on the spectrum. But it really wasn't something that doctors really looked at when I was a young kid. So please don't. I'm not calling your children garbage. Obviously, your children are probably beautiful and amazing kids.
You're on your own, Ben. You're on your own.
Yeah, that was a. Nah, I could see how me calling my sperm garbage and then saying that like there's a possibility of that's
Don't worry, I mean, next subject. So,
yeah.
So what's the best synth of 2020?
Yeah, right. What is the best synth of 2020? I'm trying to. You know what I think my
The one you have.
I'm thinking of the worst live stream of the year. The hardest moment was I did an ACLU thing, and all the comments in the chat were like, I had some guests, and all the comments were either the ACLU defended a KKK member, because this is right during all the protests and everything.
Sure,
and so
of
all
course.
the comments were either that, or the comments were saying, we'd better have some people of color on this stream. And I had a whole list of guests booked, had a cancellation right in the beginning, so I had an hour of just talking dead into the fundraiser stream, being like, hi, I'm a white guy. Hello. Yeah, and it was just that was probably the hardest choke of streaming. So
You can't win.
This garbage sperm thing was nothing.
You cannot win. There is no professional comedians have tried to win and they have lost. So
Yeah, right. Yeah. You have a subharmonicon, don't you? Sorry, just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you like that? I actually was invited to go build one, and then for some reason had to like cancel. I wasn't able to go to Moogfest to do it, but and I know that they've improved on that version of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, if we're gonna talk about something that I have that I don't think about getting rid of, it's the subharmonicon. So it did come out in 2020 officially, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if we're talking something like when I think about usability, wouldn't just use it for even music making. I use it for drone when I sit on like a yoga mat kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just that kind of like generating drone harmony. It's hard to like. I know Bo does the video every year. But damn, it's hard to remember like what happened gear wise. Like it's just so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've definitely like made that effect with like maths and dividers and stuff like that. But I feel like that is one synth that I actually want to get my hands on that I don't have. The Hydra synth, that definitely came out.
Was that 2020?
It came out in 2019, but I feel like it actually shipped to most retailers in 2020.
Sure.
Yeah, for me it's I don't even like trackers that much, but the Polyend tracker won it for me. I think they just did it so well.
What does Polyend have? They have a few models, right?
Yeah, they have
Medusa?
They have the Medusa.
Okay.
They have that. They have the preset, which is a module that like allows you to store presets but also sequence between them, which is and now they have like Euclidean rhythms within that. They have the Polyend Poly, which is it's like a MIDI to CV and so on and so forth, but it works with everything. Like you could just natively plug an iPad into it and then create CV from the iPad. the perks, which are those little drum solenoid things. You could pretty much just play the drums with any MIDI thing.
I don't even know. I gotta look this up. It's all
Yeah,
this stuff.
they have a ton of stuff, and it's all really good. It's funny because like a lot of people think that I'm just like in the pocket of that company because I always say so many, you know, so many positive things about them. But really, it's funny. I've joked with them. Like as far as the perks go. Oh yeah, and the Seek. Where's the Seek? Where's that thing? Oh yeah, this thing. Let me grab it. It's beautiful. Oh, my foot's stuck in the chair.
All right, guys, he's gone.
There we go. This.
Whoa,
this
wait, what the
beautiful
hell?
sequencer? Yeah, I can't even. fit
Does
it
that
in
have
the
like
frame.
CV and stuff too, or just MIDI?
Just MIDI, but it works. It has 3 MIDI outs, 1 MIDI in, USB MIDI, and it works perfectly with that Polyend perk module as well.
Wow.
So yeah, it can have like unlimited CVs essentially.
Yeah, guys, don't worry. He's definitely not in the pocket of Polygon's not in his pocket.
Yeah.
Let me just
Yeah.
say, Polygon
Yeah.
had any money.
Yeah, they well it's funny because this Seek thing I actually made like a very crappy version of it years back. And yeah, and then they, I saw this and I was like, wow, they made such an amazing thing here. Wow, I wish I could have made one that good. And then I also made little solenoid MIDI drummers that were just garbage. And that, Polyend ended up making brilliant ones. And it was funny because I was just like, literally like all these things that I wanted to exist but couldn't make myself, you guys ended up making without us even communicating. And so therefore you're my favorite company. But yeah.
I mean, people have been telling me about what was it? I think it was the tracker.
Yeah.
Forgot who it was.
That's the big one.
JSEC works at Polyend.
Yeah, JSEC, yeah.
Yeah. And we talked like earlier, and I just I wanted to do it, but it's just sort of a thing that it wouldn't have just I wish people out in the world knew that like we're literally not in the world of YouTube like jerking our dicks thinking that we're gonna get free stuff. It's literally a challenge to get stuff, and not be like and this is not about Polyend or whatever. This is just a general like statement or whatever. But like I think people think like, and Behringer does a really good job of this, of Behringer trying to say that they're like your friend or whatever.
Yeah.
But like these companies who make these like creative products are half the time, if they're going to give you any money or anything for you doing anything, they're doing it at such a almost unfair rate.
Right, yeah.
That you would never be like, oh, this company's friendly, because they're like, hey, can you do like 3 videos, tutorials about this thing, and we're going to give you like our $200 thing for free.
Yeah.
Like,
or software. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like
so
our $30 plugin. This is that reverb with the automated, like the lexicon with the automated.
is that the thing that
that pedal?
Ricky? No. Is that it?
Yeah. I think a lot of YouTubers have done one. Knobs. I remember, seeing the Knobs video on it. I don't know, man. I mean, I know it's a Lexicon 224 model, or like a emulation of a Lexicon 224. And it costs how much? Let's find out.
CXN.
$900.
Oh, what?
For a pedal.
Nah, I can't get down with that.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's really the thing, it's like I want, if they, I would do an algorithm test if they sent me one, which they haven't contacted me. And I assume it's probably because I'm a huge reverb snob. If they actually watch my channel, then they're probably like, no, he's going to end up putting his weird app through it and then tell. Yeah, but even if it was beautiful, I just can't recommend, spending $1,000 on a reverb pedal. Even a stereo one, like the Empress Reverb is brilliant. The Ventress is brilliant. The Specular Tempest is brilliant. I don't know. I'm if they want to send me one, I would absolutely run. I would love to run my app to like test their algorithms and stuff.
Sure.
But I don't know. As far as like the automated, I mean that's cool. I'd like to see how that would be useful. That's all. That's all I would say. I don't really understand how that would be useful, but I would like to find out how that would be useful.
I feel like this sometimes about that exact thought when it comes to gear. I made that point in like my Prophet 6 video where I was like, you can get the Hydrasynth and it has like 8 LFOs or whatever, but think of it like realistically, how often, like versus the cost of them adding those, because I kind of really came into like and I can't say like, oh, I'm some kind of like cheap gear person or whatever, but damn, like I'm sort of having this weird like conflict of gear costs a lot of money. Like these like Electron, Digitech, and Digitone, each of these is $800.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I went on to, this was the funny thing where I said, oh, I can make a video about this, but then it was about Behringer, so I was like, maybe I shouldn't. But I went on Amazon and I was looking up amp simulator pedals because I was like, oh, I could get this tornado or torpedo thing from whatever fucking company that is, right? And I'm going through, right? And I'm just seeing now random pedals because I've gone far enough. And I see like an analog delay pedal from like, it was like, who makes the fucking analog? Dunlop makes their carbon copy, or MXR makes their carbon copy pedal, right? And then I was like, okay, $120. And then I was like, oh, Amazon Basics pedal, which is probably so damn close, right? And that was like $60, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking below that, Behringer analog delay, it was like $20, dude.
Right.
I started to have this like conniption. Like I was having this fucking like out of body experience where I was just like, how is Behringer cheaper than Amazon?
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to get like how people are so furious at like, they're seeing these things and they're just like, maybe I have a moral issue, but it is so cheap. There is no way. Like, I can, you know what I'm saying?
So yeah. So when I did my like Chinese effects video, I asked some companies like what the deal was, and there's really most Chinese companies are they basically are just rebranding the same thing.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're doing, and I'm not sure. I bet that exact Behringer delay, I bet that there's another one that you could find even cheaper from, I'm trying to think of these company names. I mean, some of them are just like the company name changes every month, but
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, they're just printing their own logo on it, and then it's more about like shipping really than it is about the actual pedal itself.
Like quantities?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so yeah, somebody just said Amazon. Is Amazon Basics Nux? Because the Nux pedals,
I saw those Nux pedals and I was like,
because some of those Nux does do original designs. I don't know if all their designs are original, but I do know some people over there at Nux, and they're some of their designs are original and quite good. Like they have some good like. Like they have a impulse response pedal that's like you could load your own impulse responses into it, stereo ones, and it's a brilliant pedal, and it's not cheap either. I mean, it's not expensive, but it's like a couple $100.
That shit was so. Yeah. But I mean, it's just it was just hilarious to me. Like, how you gonna fucking like be cheaper than Amazon, the biggest like
Yeah. I saw that video that Ricky was doing on Amazon and how much people were hating on him for it.
Were they really?
Yeah,
I
and
thought it was a smart idea.
yeah, I enjoyed the video. I thought it was like, I'm curious too. You know, honestly, his video, even though, yeah, his
I didn't know
video,
that.
even though he kind of gave a positive review for the compressor, like the only reason I would have bought that compressor is because I wanted to, because I would have been like, what does Amazon's compressor sound like? And
Yeah.
he answered that question for me, and so now I don't need to buy it.
Well,
Like,
did he? I saw the video. It was like a couple weeks back. Yeah, Amazon made a compressor. They didn't like give it to him though. I didn't think.
I doubt it. Yeah, I don't think Amazon has any sort of like YouTube influencer thing. And if they did, they wouldn't. I doubt they'd start with him. You know, they'd probably go to like, what's his name, Rob Lowe, or somebody like somebody with a lot. Yeah, Ricky Tinez. That's for some reason I always just want to say Tynes because I think of electric pianos. But
That's weird. I mean, I thought everyone who did those videos, because he did it sort of last. There was other people who did it before.
yeah,
But I was like, damn,
it's a
of course,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, someone did. It's such a great premise to say like, because they're so cheap, I bought every Amazon guitar pedal. I'm trying them out. Like that's the video wrote itself, and
Yeah.
you already have a locked in. Like let's talk about like locked in like affiliate marketing funnel right there. Perfect.
Right.
So
Yeah.
hating, that's so weird. And I know that he said like he was slanging them. I don't know if that's a negative thing by saying slanging.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, a lot of people were like angry at him and giving the Amazon speech of how bad Amazon is, and it's kind of like, I don't think he's advocating that Amazon's a good company. I think it's not really black or white. It's just, there's this, it's weird that Amazon is making guitar pedals, and yeah, now we're talking about it. So yeah, that's basically all I see. Yeah, these comments. That is a very Magpie thing, isn't it? I could definitely see him like. Well, I think I could see Simon like buying all the Amazon pedals and then like taking them apart.
Yeah,
and
he's
then,
gonna
like,
circuit bend them.
using them underwater or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna make some kind of crazy like multi effects pedal from them or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Empress is the best pedal company right now. I can't really, and maybe it's me. I mean, it could be because I work closely with them.
Hating on my Strymon.
Yeah, I just Empress's quality control, and they did just have a weird quality control issue. So me even saying this is kind of funny, but they took care of it in such a classy way. They like basically emailed every single customer, and they was like, "You might have an issue down the line.
Sure.
We're going to send you a new pedal, or we're going to send you a part that you could put in yourself, however you want to do it." Yeah, they're very, yeah. They have the Empress Reverb, which is my best reverb I've heard in a pedal. Their effects is totally crazy. You have the Zoya there. There you go.
I have the Zoya. I like the build on the Zoya a lot, to be honest, after all this time.
Did Mitch give that to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, I was a beta tester for that, and that was there's a Euro rack version of that in existence, right? The Zoya?
Is that supposed to be said?
Maybe. I Yeah, you may
on
have
your own.
You may have a package coming soon.
You're on your own.
I don't know if somebody contacted you about that yet.
I'll just say
Everybody
we're
knows.
gonna edit this stream.
It was at NAMM in last year, so yeah, everybody knows about it. However, I do think it is pretty funny. I have one over here, and it was the only one in existence at one point. Like because like the other prototypes got like taken apart, and so for the last year, I've had like the only one, and I've been like, ooh, aren't I cool? But yeah, now they've clearly they're making more, and people are beta testing them.
Is it no, yeah. He talked to me about, the funny thing about the Zoya is that I forget how to use it every time I'm going to go back and use it. Like you probably aren't that way, but like every time I have to like instantiate like an effect, I'm like, wait, okay, push the two buttons, and then now push this button and push this button, and I have to go back and I watch like Lupop's video.
Yeah.
I probably watched a video 5 times about the same exact like basic like whatever. But damn, in a weird way, I want to do a video where I'm like, because I have my pedal board that I've sort of grown out over years that I just, it's custom to me. And I'm just like, but why not this? Like, why not this for everything? It just has so many like it's not just like delay, reverb, compressor. It's like 30 things. It's so many things. Like
I've my last show that the last show that I played was in LA in January, and the opener of the show, I had like one opening act, and the opening act for the entire night before my human opener was a Zoya. So it was just generative.
Just a Zoya?
Yeah, just a Zoya on the stage playing generative patches. Like,
how did it sound?
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I've made full generative ambient songs on it. It's quite nice. It's such a nice little ecosystem to work in. Like,
yeah, the Zoya is so funny because I do think like it is a bit of a. It's a bit tougher to get into. It's not like, sure, you can do the presets, and that's what I did when I first got it. Was I went through the presets and I clicked the preset, and whichever one I liked, and the ones that were weird, that generated sound, you were just like, all right, that's for a later day. But it's such like a weird. I feel like it's almost too complicated for a lot of people because they don't want to go and figure out how to do a bunch of this stuff. But for the price, it's
for
probably
guitar,
like
for a guitar pedal.
Whatever you think of as the price, it is so much lower in terms of the value that you get. Like
yeah, that's a pedal that I would say is like, looking at the CXM 1978, like I would say that the Zoya is worth $900, but it doesn't cost that much, fortunately. But I think that is like, I mean, it's like the only pedal you need. If you only had one pedal, like it's clearly I would choose the Zoya. Like,
I mean, it's like it has the MIDI for switching, and you could do so many things. Like, I always thought Empress was like a huge company because like I've known of their pedals, but apparently they're not.
No, they're, I mean, they're kind of spread out a bit, but yeah, they have like definitely not a big company. But are you familiar with the Poly Bebo and Digit? That's like the touchscreen pedals. They're kind of like, they're not a Zoya in my opinion, but they do offer for people who don't like the Zoya interface of like all the buttons and just want a touch screen to build little Bebo, Beebo. I have one of those, and those are fun too. I would prefer the Zoya, I think, but the Bebo's pretty great.
So you're endorsing the Zoya over the Bebo?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the number one reason for that is because of the Steve over at Empress, the lead engineer. He's the guy with the big brain, and his reverb algorithms, his delay algorithms, they're just out of this world. They sound incredible. Great. Yeah, they're just better than any, like, and especially in that Empress reverb pedal, like they're just better than anything I've heard out of a pedal. But
interesting. I like the. I mean, it's tough. I'm a touchscreen kind of a person, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
but it's not like an iPad touchscreen. It's not like it's a little bit. It's more like a MPC Live touchscreen, if that makes any sense. Like, you know how one is kind of like you could just drag and drop and blah blah. Sure. And the other one, you're kind of like, like a GPS or something. Yeah.
The Zoya though, it's just like, even though it's just like, the funny thing is it feels like a guitar pedal. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not
It's
a
rugged. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm not gonna break it. That which is
Yeah.
yeah.
Is Poly run on pure data? No, I don't think so. I would have a hard. I mean, that would have to be because I've made some pretty big patches on that thing, and I would be really, really surprised if because I know it's just running on like a little ARM chip. So no, I don't think so. Oh yeah, and also it runs like they have the mutable modules in it now on the digit side of things. Like you could essentially have clouds in it or something like that, and I don't believe that exists for pure data. If it does, then I apologize for being dumb. The yeah, do you have an electron heat?
No.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
No.
Oh. Is someone asking about it?
Yeah, do you consider the electron analog heat a pedal? I'm probably just old-fashioned, but to me, pedals are devices you stomp on. I
mean,
just thought that was a weird direction for electron, but some people swear by their heats.
I can see the appeal of it. I mean, I you know here's something because I guess it's built like these, right? It's built like in the same form factor, right? These are built really well, even for $800. But I could definitely see myself preferring the heat as like instant, like, oh, here I'm doing this to, I don't know, maybe I'm going to master a track through it or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not so much stuff like a big calculator or whatever. So I don't know. I like the form factor of these, like these smaller little electron things. But
Yeah, those are nice. Yeah, I feel like if it was a reverb or something, I would have been more into. But if it just, I don't know, distortion.
well, you know, the funny thing is, I would love to see Moog do something in that type of a form factor, but with certain things from them. Because I hate to say that, I kind of get sick of Moog not releasing their filters and their spring reverbs on their own. They always must be included with like some freaking synthesizer, and it just drives me insane. Like, just do a filter bank, a little this size thing. You put fucking 3 different filters in it, or you do 2 filters and a spring reverb or something.
Right.
But they just don't do it, and it's just like so annoying.
Huh.
It's like they're almost holding on to it, like they just refuse.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I'm trying to. People keep talking about CS80s. Nobody has a CS80.
Ooh, yeah, I want to know that since someone said CS80. What is your? I don't know all your setup.
Yeah.
Do you have any vintage synthesizers or drum machines?
I have, yeah. I mean, drum machines. I have a lot of vintage. Like, I feel like every single acid groove box ever made, I have.
Okay.
Like I feel like all of that, like cashing in on the 303 before anybody made an analog one, like from like the 90s, like all those weird rolling boxes. There's a lot of them in Japan too. I seem to just like have collected those years back and never got rid of them. I definitely want to do a video on that someday because they're all hilarious. But as far as like, I can't get rid of my machine drum. That's not that old. I mean, it's old. It's like from the early 2000s, but that's the first Electron thing. I can't get rid of my machine drum. I just feel like it's too unique. Trying to think of anything else around here that. Yeah, nothing too terribly old. The VP770, which is a vocal synth.
VP770. Having to look all these up.
It's not that old, but they only made it for churches, essentially, for gospel churches. But it's like really beautiful vocoding. And I mean, it really could make your voice sound like a choir.
It's oh, I remember. It's like the ensemble one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird.
That's a unique piece. That's unique.
Yeah, it's very unique, and it's weird how it didn't. It's very weird how it just never took off. Like,
have you ever made a video?
No, I've used it in plenty of tracks, but I've never made a video.
Man,
yeah, maybe I should. But I mean, I feel like videos like that, then people are just like, I want one, but I can't have one now.
Yeah, it's just such for me. Like me, I'm the type of person who would just be like, because there's like a whole era of synths that were like in that time
Yeah.
that just sort of they don't fit into the because people are still so enamored with analog or whatever.
Right.
There's like a whole group of synthesizers like the V synth or whatever, where it's just like forgotten to time, because
Yeah.
it's not a damn like PPG wave.
The Korg Tritons. Those
Yeah,
are a big
damn.
one.
Did you see that reverb video? Maybe you didn't, but the guy who usually does the reverb videos, the black dude who's like, he does all the like sounds of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, yeah,
on
yeah. Right, yeah.
He did the video about the Korg Triton.
Yeah.
Damn, he fucking like. It was so tight to me because I was like a kid during like those like 2000 like songs by like the Neptunes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's just going through picking like presets. I'm sitting over here thinking like, damn, these Neptunes, they got these crazy, like they so wild, right?
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, preset like 300. And he just plays, it's literally like he's playing hits. Like it was great. Like,
you know something, there is, this is going to disappoint so many people in the chat. The Stranger Things theme song, there is an Omnisphere preset pack that's like an extra, and I think I want to say that it's made by, there's some, I don't remember the guy's name, but anyway, it's like an extra add-on you could buy for Omnisphere. And
sure.
If you press the C, if you press like C3, it's the Stranger Things theme song, and it was sold long before Stranger Things came out, and
wow.
And I remember reading so many like interviews with like the artists who made the music for that, and they were talking about all these old synths that they collected and stuff, and I was like, that's
sure.
a fucking Omnisphere patch. And I'm sure that the rest of the show they probably scored, but like,
sure,
because I know how this thing works. Like the creative director was like, no, I like that one, and they're like, okay, but that one's just, and they're like, I like that one, and they're like, okay, yeah, I know how that goes, but like it's so funny because so many people are just always sending me this article. Like everybody I knew was like, oh, Benn likes synths, I'll send him this article, and I was like, it's an Omnisphere patch. Yeah, but
isn't that funny how people still have that? Some people have just like a cringe when they hear like preset or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like I always think to myself like for me personally, there are like musicians, producers, sound designers. There's all these different things. Like just because a person plays a thing that looks like a piano, they're not all of those things, right? So
right.
like, and also, what's wrong with Omnisphere anyway? Like, who,
right.
99% of the people who are watching the show think it's the greatest damn opening ever. I mean, even me, I thought, like, I never saw this article. I've only seen the articles about the creators who do the scoring for the show, not the opener.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, oh, these guys came up with a great, like, I bet there's a wall of modular synths. It's fucking like Dead Mouse over there.
Yeah.
Like a giant room,
Yeah,
but
all that Netflix money.
Someone's over there like,
Yeah.
It's like, here, okay, 500 grand.
I think to be fair, it's a C major seventh. I think you just play C major seventh with that preset, and it automatically does it. Just a random comment that I put up on screen: the Korg Karma. You remember those?
Dude,
I never had one, and I wanted one so bad.
If I could get one easily, because it's the red. It's like that reddish pink one that came out in like the 2000 somethings.
Yeah, and
that
had
was
the weird arpeggiation.
Phrasing.
Yeah,
it was the phrasing one. That is one of those things. Like, I hope no one's done a video recently. It's on my list of to-dos because it's one of those in-betweeners. It's one of those weird in-betweeners.
Yeah.
Where it came out with this weird technology that was like revolutionary, but just in the moment it was fresh, but it would never be seen as fresh after.
Right, yeah. And Yeah, it's funny because I have a Korg. Oh god, it's like an M50 or something. I have one of those Korg Performer synths, and you can buy Karma add-on for it, but it was like the light version of all of Karma's features. But I almost bought it. It was like $300 or something. I almost did it, but yeah, I always did want to play with a. I always did want to play with the Karma.
Man, that's like a great video that like the younger audience would probably not really like know like so much about, because it's sort of it's not really like a thing as much anymore. But like I remember back in the Triton days when or my first like piano thing that I had when I would like produce and stuff was a Roland Phantom, and you could still buy the like Supreme Dance it would be like a plug-in pack now, but it would be the expansion pack, and you have to like load it into that shit like with a card. And it would be so tight to be like, hey, the history of like the expansion packs for like different things, like Emu had a bunch of those as well.
Yeah, so somebody just mentioned that they have Karma for the Yamaha Montage. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
Interesting.
Another thing about the Yamaha Montage, which is this is all public now, but this was like a beta test thing earlier, and I was so sad because I couldn't talk about it.
Sure.
So the patches in the Montage are the FM patches are just so crazy that like nobody in their right mind could actually sit there and most people don't want to sit there and actually write a sound using every single operator and every single modulator, because they're just it's like more than any plugin I know of, right? So they've thought of this idea to where like you could browse preset sounds or you can make sounds or whatever, and you have these four corners, and each one's a different preset, and you sort of decide, like you could like put your finger on it and decide like on the touch screen, like, all right, so I want it to sound somewhat between this sharp one and this pad, and then you think it's just going to morph it and give you that sound. Nope. Then it uses deep learning with all of the operators and every single perimeter, and then gives you a bunch of more options in that, and you decide where you want it. So you could dial it in just by using like neural networks inside the synth. It's mind-blowing. It's just like, yeah, how is that not a bigger thing? So that's definitely got to be a video for me in the future, because that's just like, and it's so funny because the thing I do the most on that synth is just play the piano, which is such a waste. I mean,
especially
because I have a piano right here, but like I have real piano. But.
Isn't that like the funny? That's the funny part of all synthesizers. They give you, say the early like Dave Smith instrument ones where he's putting like 16 LFOs and like 16 4x4 modulation matrix, and you're playing literally like an open saw with like a 24 dB filter, and that's what you want. Like, it drives me insane. Like sometimes the breadth of like, oh, this could be such a wild. It's like you're gonna use it for the freaking buzzy sound one time, or the pad. But the montage,
it's expensive. It's not a cheap synth.
Isn't it? What is it?
$5,000.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a cheap synth.
Wait, what are we talking about? I thought that was cheaper than that.
I mean, maybe it went down since the Montage 8 is $4,000. It went down a bit.
$4,000.
Yep.
I mean, you know what? Who got one? Jade actually got one.
Really?
Jade, yeah. I mean, this is not.
They have like the motif too, or the mod.
No,
6.
she got a montage.
Wow,
I feel
amazing.
like we talked about this. Let me see. Montage. Yeah, because. She wrote me a message saying she got.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she got the montage. I mean, it's her business, but I'm just going to say that she got very fortunate, and so this is why I don't get any shit from Yamaha, because I gave them an F ranking. So when I
I don't know. I mean, I work with Yamaha not on my channel. I work with them for
Sure.
other things, but like
Oh, okay.
they it's funny because like they will, like, I was just about to say, like, in response to the chat, like, people were just saying like Yamaha's underrated, and I think
Whoops,
that
my bad.
no, I think that
F.
Yamaha has some UX issues. Like they've suffered from a lot of poor user interface design and decisions, and that's why they're underrated, which I guess doesn't mean that they're underrated. They're accurately rated. It's just, but I do think that things like that neural network thing that I was talking about, like that really addresses that issue where it's like, yeah, nobody wants to spend time programming 8 operators. Not like nobody in the right mind is going to do that. But
Yeah, FM synthesis is very hard. Like,
yeah,
in terms of like usable. I mean, that's why you use presets. But the montage, people, because it's not a workstation. People kept saying, because there's the Mod X, right?
yeah.
And then there's the montage. The montage is the workstation, right?
No, it's not. It has kind of a sequencer, but it's more of like a performance sequencer. Like here we have
Okay.
a comment where somebody said montage should have had virtual analog. The fact that somebody said this proves my point. It absolutely has virtual analog, but it's just hidden inside a very complicated user interface. Like it has extremely powerful virtual analog. It has the rompling on it is really great. It has additive synthesis inside some of the ROP. Like it's one of the few synths that can do more than what a plugin can do. That's like hard to find these days. That's like one of the few synths where I'm like, yeah, I don't know of a plugin that could really do anything like this. This is really unique.
Isn't it funny? We live in the time where, I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, but I definitely feel this way about certain things. It's like, because I know people complain about like they can't have their, they can't have their Prophet 6 because, it's $3,000, and I wish Behringer would just make a Prophet 6 and make it $30. But I've heard recently, what's that thing that Arturia makes? They make a plugin with synths, but it's
V Collection.
the V Collection. They make that one standalone one. Pigments. Those things sound, to me, they sound fantastic.
Yeah, V Collection's really, really, really well done.
Shit's $99.
Yeah, V Collection's Pigments is very, very well priced. V Collection is a little more expensive. You gotta get that on sale for sure. But for what you're getting,
what you're getting,
and they sound really good. And they also, for the vast majority of those things, they're not like they're actually either getting the green light or working with the people who made the original synths, which is, there's a lot to be said for that.
People saying Analog Lab and the whole collection. I just find it weird that I know people are talking so much about pricing and having issues with pricing, but like when I hear there was a time, not even that long ago, there was a time when it was dicey, But the only reason you get hardware, realistically, and my only reasoning behind getting hardware is I just want one piece of hardware to keep working for as long as I'm going to be playing music, right? I just want to, I know the Prophet, it's going to give me this, and this. It's basically circumventing the plugins, and I don't buy any plugins. I don't have any plugins other than the ones that come in Cubase.
Yeah.
For whatever, because I don't need to buy them. But if I was going to be a person who was not liking the price of stuff, dude, Analog, what did this person say? The Analog Lab V Collection.
Yeah.
And Pigments on a Black Friday, probably get both of those out the door for like $2, $3.
Yeah.
I mean, you're good. Like,
on a good sale. Yeah. This question, like, or somebody mentioned it's an interesting comment. Looking at Yamaha synth catalog is like looking at the Canon camera catalog.
True.
What's the difference between each of these things? And my answer to this, even though probably some people might be offensive, some people, it's Japanese companies. Like I think that they market differently, and I feel like I feel like in Japan, the consumers in Japan are just more likely to actually look at those things and then look at the specs. Whereas Americans and Europeans are just kind of like, well, sell it to me, man. You know, like we're just kind of like, yeah. But I think that's 100% those things is like Canon and Yamaha are both very Japanese companies, like at their heart.
Yeah, and I missed a lot of the Yamaha stuff because and my bad because I couldn't tell the difference between like a workstation and a synthesizer when I went to Yamaha's own website. I was so confused as to like, well, it's shaped like a workstation. Like Korg, at least Korg does a very good job of maybe sometimes it's to a ugly like terrible like mistake that they make some of their like other synths horribly ugly in my opinion. But when they talk about their like synth line, they keep those in a very specific form factor and look, which I can appreciate. Even though I think some of the pricing is for the like when we're talking about like, you know, $800 for this or $800 for that Korg Op 6, which is like literally I thought my box was empty when it came in the mail. Yeah, Yamaha I couldn't tell. And so I think I rated them an F, thinking that the Montage and Mod X were specifically workstation-based keyboards. Because I'm not, I mean, typical American here. Looks like a workstation.
Yeah, I mean the Montage. It's such a crazy thing because I played with one at Richard Devine's house, and before that I had no interest in it whatsoever. Sure. I was just like, yeah, I mean this must be one of those things that's just made for like church players or something. Yeah, you know, but yeah, once I played with it at Richard's house and like I was like, whoa, oh my God, this thing's like I need one of these. But I'm never going to be able to afford it. And then, a year later, I end up working with Yamaha, and but I mean, I'm really lucky to have one. I obviously couldn't afford to buy a synth like that to just play the piano on while eating a sandwich.
Such a hard thing, to be honest.
But
the whole buying a synth thing,
like, I mean, you could do a lot worse than for some of the people like just asking in the comments what and like in terms of like it being a workstation or not. You could do a lot worse than having like an iPad and a Montage, like that's a good setup, or a Kai Force and a Montage. Like you're good to go. Like you're pretty much, you can create complete albums with that.
What can't you create albums with now? Like I'm not gonna go as far as saying like GarageBand is what I want to use per se, like want.
Yeah.
But
there's a Zoya album. Like people have made albums with the Zoya.
Oh man, I that's something I've totally been brought into like understanding more is like people there. I feel like in the world that maybe we live in sometimes where we're a lot of channels are like, here's a new piece, here's a new piece, here's a new piece, right? It's kind of like camera channels where every week you're like, how can there be a new body? Like, how can the tech be moving this fast? That really, like, there are some people who just, because I'm going to bring up this person, and I know people might say some shitty things about this, but there's like this guy who he's like a fucking Electribe like master or something. He got like called out for saying like some like racist things or whatever. I don't know. But there's this guy and he was like really good on like the Electribe. And I watched his videos and I was like, wow, what this guy is doing with the fucking Electribe. Yeah. Like just, I love those people. I love those people who just squeeze every ounce of like juice out of their fucking product, you know?
I'm just laughing at the idea of like somebody who just is obsessed with the Electribe saying a racist thing, like just being like, yeah, I mean, this, that, and Jews, or like what?
I feel like I'm a terrible person. Like I know that like I'm saying like excuses for certain people who have done like apparently like this person put it in there. Mitsubishi is the guy's name, and you can look it up. I looked it up.
Yeah.
He said some specific things. You know, I mean, like, and this is where it's so hard. But anyway, I'm not gonna go into this. But I love people who fucking juice the shit out of their fucking like equipment because like, I swear, sometimes I like just feel like you don't. The average listener at home hears buzzy thingy with woo woo woo. They don't care if that shit costs $5 or if it costs $5,000. They just don't know. But because you're sort of this enthusiast, you're sitting there with like 11 fucking like mono synths, 11, thinking the nuance between like the 12 decibel filter sounds very different, but it's just not even me. Like I talk to, I'm not going to name drop, but I talk to certain people who are way better than me, who I look up to, right? Like in private messages.
Yeah.
They're like not as obsessed.
Elton John.
No. I mean, no, I was
Mick Jagger.
There's just people who like, they're not as obsessed. They like their shit, but they're just not as obsessed sometimes. Like, so sometimes I feel like I'm straddling the world of practical, pragmatic musician, and then also like tech person, like, you know, tech salesman.
People are like posting links to the racist thing, and I'm gonna say no, it's okay. Like educate yourself, guys, whatever. But I'm not gonna click it because right now in my head, I'm not even gonna go to this guy's channel. I'm just imagining this guy who is super good with the Electribes saying something like having a bad cable and being like, oh, there's a fucking Mexican cable, and like putting another one in, like some weird thing like that. And I'm just like, I like for some reason just, oh, these Korean cables, I hate.
Oh no, it was see, and you know what I did? I messed up because I mean, I don't know. It sometimes, you know, I had to watch the Michael Jackson documentary too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, I hear all the things. I heard all the things that they said. It was hard for me, right?
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, after that, I've been in like, you know, I went to a bar after that, and I remember like it was Halloween, and they played Thriller, and I just remember just looking around, just like, is that okay anymore? Can we play this anymore?
Right.
But it's like, I don't know how to separate it sometimes, but you know, I hate to say that. I'm sorry, guys, that I'm giving a fucking I'm giving a person who said a lot of very divisive things praise. But I mean, he's fucking good at that Electribe. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
you can be racist and good at the Electribe at the same time, I'm sure. Yeah, just like I said, you could like some Behringer gear and not like Behringer at the same time. Joe, yeah, okay, so, and I don't know what this has to do with anything, but Joe's Zawinul did with old school analog synths. So, okay, are you familiar with him?
Zawinul? No.
So he's like a jazz player. He was a jazz synth and pianist player, and he played in Weather Report, right?
Oh, yeah, great band.
Yeah. So this guy, Austrian.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Absolutely. It's interesting because I don't think that like this commenter meant this in this regard, but he's always been an interesting character to me because he died. He's dead now.
Yeah.
And but he was obsessed openly in interviews. He was obsessed with black people. That was his thing. Like he was just like, yeah, no, he's just like, I am obsessed with black people. Like that was his whole thing. And he married a black woman. He only listened to black music. Like he dressed in African garbs and shit. And like he was openly wanted to be black. And he was like a jazz musician who was extraordinarily successful, who did basically like a lot of the things that Herbie Hancock did, like right at the time when Herbie was doing it. And it's just funny because I was just thinking about him like a couple weeks ago. Like, could he exist in 2020? Would people just be like, "Get the fuck out of here, you appropriating pile of gut"? But but now we accept him as like this legend, which I agree with. He is a legend, but it is just kind of funny that because if you ever watch an interview with the guy, it's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, you just like, yeah, it was just he just thought of black culture like it was like this, like Narnia or some weird shit. Like it's just like very weird. Like,
I mean, I thought you were gonna say something incredibly different. That's why I was so taken back because you're like this Austrian guy, and I was like, so he's saying like the Holocaust wasn't real and stuff, right? That's what he's saying. And then you're like, he married a black woman. I'm like, what?
No, he was just obsessed with black culture, but he's like the whitest person ever, physically and accent wise, but but went all in again. Like he just like wore African hats and shit, and it was just like, what? All right, but yeah.
Hey,
brilliant keyboardist, but yeah.
If you yeah, I mean, the Weather Report's such a good group. Like, once you said that, I was like, oh, this guy, like, this is virtuoso type guy.
Yeah, everybody in that band was too good.
Oh man, I can't wait to watch these interviews just because it'd be funny. Oh my gosh, I'm not drunk or high, by the way.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No, yeah, Joe.
I hope the chat is appreciating how off the wall this has become.
Yeah.
As we talk about the greatest possible appropriating and or racist musicians there of all time.
Yeah, it's so me growing up listening to jazz in Englewood, Chicago, right? With with like a white, I was raised by like a white racist step grandfather in a black neighborhood, and I like got jazz. It was such a weird thing, and he loved jazz, but he loved like Buddy Rich and loved all the white jazz players, and I didn't really think about appropriation until I was in my 30s. So I was like, oh yeah, like literally this is kind of odd and like disappointing in some ways, but now like we're here, like now we have like our Jaco Pastoriuses and our Pat Metheny's, and like we just sort of are at this place in history with this type of music. But do you know the Jaco Pastorius story? Are you familiar with his whole?
I watched a documentary.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The bassist
Jaco.
of Metallica made one.
Yeah. Great documentary. What a wow. Talk about mental health, man.
Right, and that documentary. Yeah, I think I watched that, and I feel like that documentary didn't even cover everything. Like, one of my favorite things about him, because I've always been obsessed with him. One of my favorite stories about him was his. So he used to do something. He used to call something a total wipe if it was a prank. Like, he would play a prank on you and call it a total wipe. And for some reason, he, in the height of his mania, he was in Japan, and he played a show, and he threw his bass in the ocean. It was an outside show, and he threw his bass in the ocean, and then everybody's like, okay, this iconic bass, we have to go get it back for him. He goes back to the hotel where he's renting a motorcycle, and leaves, goes out on the motorcycles, driving around Tokyo, drives back in through the window of the hotel, through the front window, right, and then falls over and just lays dead with the motorcycle running in the lobby of the hotel. And so naturally, like they call they know that he's kind of mental, like, his handler or record label or whatever, explain this. And so they call an ambulance, and the ambulance come, and they pull him over, and he has a jacket on really tight, and they cut his jacket open, and he has roadkill all inside he has dead animals. And then he just goes like, ha ha, total wipe, and then runs back into his room. Like, wow. Like, that is the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, that is just, yeah, but that's like the kind of stories. Yeah, there's a couple books.
He passed in what, his 30s?
Yeah, early 30s. Yeah, so there's like all these wild stories about him. And
Man.
and then but of course like there's this dark side too. Of course,
Oh man.
he was
Yes.
he was willingly homeless in
Yeah.
Central Park, and
Yeah.
he would like play a gig. He would get paid like 12 grand to play a solo bass gig in Italy, and then tip 12 grand to the cab driver who would drop him off at Central Park, and then he would just live there. And then he went back to Florida, and he went to a Santana concert and walked up on stage and grabbed the bass guitar from the bassist. And Santana was like, Jaco Pastorius, ladies and gentlemen. And then after a song, he was like, okay, give the bass back. And security escorted him out. And as the story goes, he was trying to break the window of the front of the venue because they kicked him out.
Sure.
And the bouncer beat him to death.
That's right. That's right.
And that's like, and the bouncer, I think, did like 6 months or something because it was excessive. It wasn't like, the bouncer like was kicking him while he was unconscious and like all sorts of things. So pretty fucking tragic. But and I have an old VHS tape somewhere of him giving bass lessons, and it's like he was like brought straight out of Central Park in New York to give these jazz lessons. He's just wearing like homeless garb, like giving these bass lessons and stuff and playing brilliantly, but it's just so surreal because, he's happy doing it, but that there's like something wrong for sure.
It's crazy to think of, but it's weird to say. I feel like being super great, you're straddling that fence of, mental, I don't know. There's something there in a lot of people, like my mom is sort of that way. Like she's the ultimate, like very good, like, musician and like mentally there person. You know what I'm saying? Like she taught university and whatnot, but she was like a child prodigy, right? When she goes into piano playing mode, it's not the same person anymore. She's a very, she's like having an out of body experience. She has to go to that strange place to elevate to this other level, right? And I think that there's a very thin line between like, the people who go too far, you know what I'm saying? Who are so just, because it's I always say this, right? My mom hasn't practiced piano in 40 years, right? Yeah. But she will always be better than me. There's just it's not, I could practice forever and I'd never be better than her. It's just there's this weird thing that happens to those type of people. So but Jaco just, it's sad because he was so young, Yeah,
and he there's a couple. I mean, I don't know if you could still find him on YouTube, but there's a couple videos of him, like literally just of people, with the old video camera in an apartment with him hanging out, and it's funny because it's like he's not somebody I would ever want to hang out with. Like he seems quite miserable to be around. Like in his, he seems like an intense personality that is just like constantly screaming and like angry about something, or trying to get you to laugh at a joke that's not funny, or you know what I mean.
I'll take Thundercat. Thundercat's seems a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah, but he definitely. But it is funny to end on like a fun note with him when he his beginning in Weather Report. He basically was backstage at a Weather Report show, and he walked up to, I think he walked up to Joe Zawinul and was like, "Hey, I'm the best bass player in the world. You want me to play bass for you?" And they were like, yeah, okay. And he was like, "No, I am." And he literally then played the bass, and they're like, "Yeah, you're right." And then they hired him. It's just sort of like, he was like, "I'm Jaco. I'm the best bass player in the world." And they're like, "Yeah, bullshit." And he was like, "No, check it out." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And we're firing our bassist. So,
Is Davey 504 better than Jaco Pastorius?
No.
The true question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jaco Pastorius is like the Jimi Hendrix of bass to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, I would actually say a little bit more than Jimi Hendrix, because I think Jimi Hendrix was like stylistically an innovation, like he innovated so much, but obviously Inge Malmsteen or something, there's a lot of guitarists who are faster and more technical.
Yes.
But Jaco was technical as well. Like Jaco he could play bebop solos on the bass at speeds that maybe Victor Wooten I've heard play similarly, but really.
Oh man, Victor Wooten, god dang Victor Wooten.
Yeah.
There is something to be said. I know that sometimes like it gets like overshadowed because I said it like before, but being very proficient at like an instrument just can take your skills. There's just something to be said for that, like and like you said with Jacob Collier, right? Like in his case, it's a wow. Like,
yeah.
Oh wow. But like I don't know his Spotify numbers, but I ain't going and listening to a Jacob Collier album on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'll watch a YouTube video.
Sure. Yeah.
But then when I think about other artists in the same vein, like because he's a pianist, right? Like that's what he would be.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rather listen to like Fiona Apple.
This comment up on the screen, like Tom Jenkinson over Jaco. I hope that Tom's watching this.
Tom Jacobson?
He's Jenkinson. He's a Square Pusher.
Oh,
Tom's an extremely talented bassist, but if Tom were watching, if Tom were sitting in the room, he would like punch you for saying that. Like Tom absolutely, like, no. The thing about Jaco is that Jaco, it's hard to describe. I mean, Jaco was the first fretless electric bass player, and he just honed it in so well. And it's not so much the speed and it's not so much the solos. It's the way that he sang with it. Like if you listen to Pat Metheny's first album, like it's funny because Pat Metheny had this Bright Size Life is the name of the album. Great album. And Pat Metheny, it was like his breakout album where he was going to like become the famous jazz guitarist he was. And so the record label hired Jaco Pastorius as the bassist. And Jaco's bass solos are more impressive than Pat Metheny's guitar. And there was a lot of like, and it was just, there was no rehearsing. Like Jaco was just a session player, and he like added in harmonics at all the right times, and it's just gorgeous. And the record label is like, sorry, Pat, we're releasing this. It's brilliant. We're going to give this Jaco guy a record contract of his own. But like, I feel like that's the big difference is like he was so honed in with that instrument, and yeah, he knew how to add. Yeah, I don't know. You can't really compare Square Pusher and Jaco Pastorius. Like I wouldn't like I Square Pusher is too I mean Square Pusher is inspired by Jaco Pastorius big time. Like
the interesting thing about Jaco when I think about it is like I feel like for so many of the proficient musicians who are just amazingly talented in terms of their technical like prowess or whatever, there's that weird fine line between prodigious and then like digestible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I know, and we said it before, I know that Stevie Wonder can do a bunch of stuff to impress the people who he wants to have that stanky jazz face. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Sure.
But that can get tiring sometimes, and even so someone like Thundercat, right? Like when you listen to a Thundercat album, he drops maybe 3 songs on there where he's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even when you go to his concerts, I went to Thundercat concert a couple years back, and yeah, he fucking stanks on you, he fucking kills you a couple times.
Yeah.
And then he's like, every song that's popular is, I sometimes wonder how the fuck does he play this shit? Because it is like literally the most basic.
Yeah.
And he could just go a million miles an hour, but he's like, boom, boom. Like this is, and everyone's like, this is the song. This is the one. and
Yeah,
it's just
right.
like quarter notes or something, half notes, and
Some of these comments, man. This one, I want to see Jaco do Cooper's World, which is a Square Pusher song. And again, it's like you need to go listen to some Jaco. Like you need to listen to Weather Report with Jaco playing. Or you know what? Trio of Doom. I'm gonna tell Jason Moyer here. Trio of Doom. Look up that album.
ooh.
It's a live performance played in Havana, Cuba, and that's the only recording of the band was this Havana show. And like there's songs like Continuum, which there's like some songs that are just really melodically beautiful, but a lot of it's mostly really hard, fast jazz. And that's a great example of Jaco's like peak performance of. And remember that like in these he's improvising the whole thing. He's not like rehearsing and recording it into. This is all just live with two people that he had never played with before.
Jaco, the thing is with Jaco, when I have listened to his stuff, it it doesn't feel like you're listening to a. I want to say it doesn't sound like you're listening to a bass,
Yeah.
but it just sounds like sweet melodies. It wouldn't matter what he were playing in those veins. It could be any instrument.
And the way it sings.
Yes.
The way it just like that singing vibrato that he had with it. And yeah, the Trio of Doom, like the great example of that would be the live version of Continuum, which is just like with John McLaughlin on the guitar. Oh yeah. Anyway, that's just an incredible. Yeah.
Solo. So yeah, Armin. I see Armin. I'm just looking over. He says solo bass music is kind of dry though. But then I always go back to songs from like Thundercat. The breadth of the bass as an instrument seems very limited when you think of it as a. I mean, you know this. You've heard Jaco or these. They're playing amazing chords, harmonics. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound dry to me at all, just because I've heard so much amazing melodic solo bass kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like saying classical guitar, solo classical guitar is dry.
Yeah. I mean, there's levels to it, and again, it comes down to sort of like what you're talking about earlier, like somebody really understanding the instrument, and I feel like there's that mastery that exists where that you only have so many people who can actually reach that level with any particular instrument. It doesn't really matter what they're playing, like Buddy Rich on the drums or Coltrane on the sax, or there's just this like.
Now I'm not going to listen to a whole instrumental drum record, but
yeah.
Levels to this.
I feel like I have with Buddy Rich versus Max Roach. That's one that's pretty close to an instrumental drum record. That's like two classic drummers just sort of like going nuts. There's a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I feel like there's so many like IDM fans in this watching this that are just like, all right, let's check out this jazz thing, see what's going on.
IDM. That's like
intelligent dance music.
Intelligent. I really went down the road of IDM at some point, thinking. I like IDM. I'm not gonna say I don't like IDM. I like IDM, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's the same thing with certain types of music where. There's a lot of there's a lot of music that Dead Mouse could and has the ability to make, right? I know I'm saying Dead Mouse and people are going to be like, you fucking Dead Mouse. Dead Mouse is very talented and has a lot of things that he could do. But his most popular shit is the most basic ass shit ever.
Of course,
It's always kind of like, I don't know, what's Miles Davis's most famous song?
I don't know.
So What? Maybe.
Yeah. And what's Coltrane's most famous song? Probably like Favorite Things, right? These are my favorite things or something. Blue Note.
I'm a Blue and Green fan. That's my favorite
Yeah.
song off Kind of Blue, but that's because it's Bill Evans'
Right.
masterpiece type of a track. But yeah, I introverted dance music. Someone put.
Yeah. Yeah, I never got. I mean, I've been called an IDM artist most of my life, and I just never. I don't know. I mean, anybody who's familiar with my music here probably knows that I'm not a fan of genres in general. Like, I don't get it. Do you
Is
think
IDM?
Do you think Giant Steps? So a lot of people are saying Giant Steps is Giant. Well, I'm just gonna go on Spotify right now and see what his most popular song is. Yeah,
I'm gonna guess
imagine.
So What on Miles Davis.
Yeah, let's find out. Miles Davis.
I'm not gonna get not Giant
Blue
Steps.
in Green is number
Hell
one.
yeah, baby! Because that's
Yeah.
right. That's Bill Evans on that.
And So What is number 2.
Right.
And
Blue and Green, baby.
John Coltrane. Number 1 is In a Sentimental Mood by quite a wide margin. Number 2 is My Little Brown Book, My One and Only Love, Blue Train Remastered. So, wow, yeah. Giant Steps isn't even on the top 10. That is...
Yeah, that's sort of such a like in the know type of a thing. For
Yeah.
me.
My
Like,
favorite things is number 6. I thought that would be way higher. Wow.
What is since you're on there?
Sure.
It's interesting because I know like I like these songs, but I'm thinking Stevie Wonder's number 1 song on like Spotify would be like something like "Isn't She Lovely" or something.
I would think it'd be Superstition.
You think so?
let's
I'm
find
going
it.
with "Isn't She Lovely" or like.
Okay.
going-
So I'm going with like total streams because his What Christmas
Sure.
Means to Me is number 1 right now. So Superstition is number 1.
Damn.
Signed, Sealed, Delivered
Yeah, I was gonna say "Sign Still
is
Delivered."
number 2. I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Ooh.
For Once in My Life.
Oh.
Sir Duke.
Oh.
Isn't She Lovely is pretty far down with a mere 96 million plays compared to the to the 402 million plays that Superstition has.
Oh boy. His like list
Yeah.
is just insane because
Right.
I'm the type of person who's listening to like Golden Lady and I'm like, God, that's still a great song. And it's like, or like oh man, Higher Ground, Just Enough,
Yeah.
City. Oh my God. It's just how much money, because I remember when I was super young, he had like the song Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and that was like Pepsi's motherfucking song.
Oh yeah.
How much goddamn money did he make?
Depends on what label he's with, I suppose. Because they do like a master license and then a sync license. So he got half of it by law. But I mean, well, not necessarily by law, but I don't know why this. Sorry, I'm just.
Sometimes I know this is weird, but sometimes I feel like some of these older musicians are not as rich as I think. Like someone like Stevie Wonder, who writes and plays all of his old stuff, like
Yeah.
I never think of him to be as rich as like Mariah Carey.
Oh, I wonder. That's interesting because I'm just. This is obviously not going to be good. What is Stevie Wonder's net worth? These are
I'd be like
always
80
tracked.
million or something.
Yeah, I wonder. 110 million.
Yeah, Mariah Carey like 300 million or something.
Mariah Carey. Ooh, 300. 300 to 520 million.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That one damn Christmas song.
What's my net worth? Search my net worth, see what they think it is. My net worth is, according to this site says I'm a drummer. 100K to 1 million is what this site says.
Oh wow, quite the
Yeah, like I might not be able to afford a house, or I might be a millionaire. I'm not really sure. Somewhere in between those two. Yeah, these net worth sites are always so funny.
Andrew Huang's net worth.
$1.4 million is what Idle Net Worth says that I am worth.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm rolling in it.
Yeah,
How? Okay, so I got that. I'm a millionaire, but Andrew, 550,000. Poor guy. Lend him some money. No, I'm sure Andrew's doing just. I'm sure he's doing a lot better than I'm doing.
yeah. If Andrew Huang's only making 500 something thousand.
Well, that's net worth. That's like. So like yeah, the weird thing, because this is like that weird like constant thing you always see on Facebook where people are talking about, like, if you took Jeff Bezos' net worth and multiplied it by or divided it by blah, I could give everybody a free Lamborghini. Like, the thing is like, my net worth is in the millions, but it's because I have this massive catalog of music, and it's not cash. I can't just be like, and so is like a lifetime of music licenses and sales and my house and my car and my synths and all that crap. It's not really. I can still be homeless and have a high net worth.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, right.
My net worth is well, I got this fucking pedal.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of a funny thing, as I always think, is the more like expensive synths that you have, right? The more like
Yeah.
eBay high price sellers, that you have, the further you're away from pure homelessness, right? So I'm always like, even if I was $0 in the bank, I still have my Tempest and Prophet 6 and
yeah.
sub. I'm getting $8,000 out of this fucking place, easy. So
I feel like this is. No, I like Andrew. Andrew's a nice guy. I've met Andrew in person and talked to him plenty online. He sent me a code for his app that didn't work. I've just
don't tell me that. I have the same code. Don't fucking tell you
that. No, he said it was. I mean, that's obviously.
No, Andrew's
I think he
fucking
just
tight.
mistyped the code, but
yeah,
I literally just messaged him today, being like, "Hey, I tried to install this while I was waiting for something."
Andrew's great. I've hung out with him. How many times? Probably. I met Andrew like 2 years ago, and then last time that he came, we hung out. I don't know, maybe like 4 times or whatever. We went to like this dope ass club here in LA. We had like a great time. I have photo booth pictures, me and Andrew. So you know, but he's. When did you hang out with Andrew?
At NAMM.
Okay, right? Like,
yeah, like
he's
I
a fucking celebrity.
Yeah.
It's like so bizarre. Like I walk around NAMM. One person knows who I am, right? That's fine. I don't care.
We had like this like private table like with me, him, and Loop Pop, and it was like me, him, and Ziv, and it was just a fun little like afternoon of chatting. It was nice. Somebody. I'm going through these codes.
Andrew's just. I mean, I wish people realized like how long he's been doing this shit. He's like old school YouTube,
and he works hard too.
Oh yeah,
like
I don't think anyone's.
So hard.
I don't think I mean, I know I'm being subjective here, but like when I watch Andrew Huang video, it's like I'm watching a master content creator.
Yeah, he's honed that in. That's his thing for sure.
Oh,
and
man.
he's a Ben, have you ever talked about when you went up against a soap company? I went up against a soap company.
Soap company?
Yeah. So one of the biggest advertisements in history used my music. And then
really,
they decided that they didn't want to relicense it. They had a yearly license for 10 years, and then they decided they didn't want to relicense it. And I was like, oh, all right. And then I was like, you can take it down though? Like, because it's still on your website and it's still on YouTube and it's still pretty much everywhere. And they were like, sorry, can't hear you. We don't respond if like we're too big of a conglomerate to not only a soap company, it's the biggest consumer product company in the world. It's
Damn Clorox.
it's Unilever. So,
Oh, of
yeah.
course.
And so yeah, they well, long story short, they goofed and they didn't, they just didn't pay, nobody paid attention to it, and there's some suing going on.
It's funny when it's better when they don't pay attention, because when they pay
Yeah.
attention up front, it's less.
Well, the funny thing is when when you sue a company like that,
No.
they the thing is like yeah, I'm trying to I like don't want to say too much,
How
but
can he? How much?
basically the thing is like it went public and it ended up like
Sure.
on their Wikipedia page.
Ah.
Adweek, like some major media, like
Sure.
some ad media places covered it. And interviewed me, and I just told them what happened, but like there was some miscommunications with the agency that I worked with as well, and so they just buried me in lawsuits saying that I caused brand damage. And it was basically
course.
just like an old Mexican standoff where we both just have these outgoing, like these lawsuits are still sort of pointing at each other, but neither one of us are doing anything. So nobody won. Well, I guess they won because they got to use my music for a couple months for free. So
Yeah, the big problem with companies, right? It's that when they go against each other, you have an actual fair fight, right? Large legal teams versus large legal teams, but versus individuals,
yeah,
yeah, unless you're Chipotle and you're literally giving people like blood diarrhea because of your
Yeah.
fucking meat or whatever, and it's such a huge story, you're just at such a disadvantage, right? Like,
yeah. And I think like another thing that like a lot of people thought at the time is they thought that they were just like blatantly using it without my permission because they're so big, and I don't think that's the case. I
Sure.
never thought that. Like I don't think that any major company or advertising agency or anything just breaks copyright rules because they know
Sure.
what the liability is. Like they
Yeah.
understand like it's not a good decision to do, even if they don't care about people whatsoever. It's just it's not good. So I think it was just a goof, and it was a goof, but they were just very arrogant about the goof, or some of the people in the middlemen were very arrogant about the goof, so it like ended up actually becoming a lawsuit. So
it's kind of tough. Like, these companies are so big, that like so easy to like the licensing departments of a company that big must
Yeah.
just be enormous, right? Like, and then the turnover of people, like, oh, this person was the one who did the thing at first and now they don't work here. And
yeah, but it's funny because that's like what everybody was like telling me that Behringer was going to sue me for my video, and it was like they could, but like this state has some anti-slap laws. So does
Sure.
California, and like if they did, like I would just pay an attorney $500 to file an anti-slap, and then that attorney would be like, okay, now let's countersue them. Like it's still, that's what Dave Smith did. Like that's what happened with Dave Smith. Like they countersued him, and Dave Smith made, I can't, I know the amount of money, but I can't disclose it. But yeah, that Behringer was at a loss for that behavior. They paid a penalty for it, and so I'm sure they don't want to do that again.
I mean, I don't even think of suing. Like, when I hear of Behringer suing anyone, and the hard part, the hardest part about watching your video was that I knew so many people I felt were taking it the wrong way, whereas if they were current owners of Behringer stuff, that they were like people feeling like people were like having, like, I hate that people defend an inanimate object, like, I
Yeah.
know it was their hard-earned money that went into it, but I kept
Yeah.
feeling like, as I was watching your video and then reading certain comments, people were getting mad that like they were thinking you were saying the gear itself was the problem in all of this,
Right,
the inanimate object and the possession of it is the
Yeah.
problem.
And
Which
I feel like they're so used to people saying like, you buy things on Amazon, then you are the problem. Or
yeah,
you use Facebook, you are the problem. And that's not like the way that I think of things at all. Like, and then there, of course, on the other end, like to be fair, at least a little fair, on the other end, there are the people that like with the Spotify video, with that video where they just chime in, they're like, well, this is capitalism. This is what happens when you allow capitalism. And it's like, what? Like, no, man. Like, this is not, we're not going there here. Like, I'm not saying all of capitalism is a failure because Behringer cloned synths and made a swing. Like, that's like such a crazy conclusion to come to with that. Like,
I did see those. I don't even know if you call it big umbrella type of like responses about like well da da da, kind of like that, like, and it's like this is a outlier, right?
Yeah.
Moog isn't gonna
Right.
sue you for like the funniest the weirdest part to me was this, like I made videos about Behringer long time before I ever had any relationship with Moog the company, right?
Yeah.
I made the videos saying like Moog's stuff is too expensive. Like Moog does the same thing over and over and over and you keep buying it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like Moog does their ladder filter with a fucking analog thing again and you bought it, right? Like I feel like they're resting on their laurels. You know what Moog does? Like the next day, hey, we really like the videos you did. Like would you like to test out our thing? So every company doesn't have like this like personal like ego when you criticize their thing.
Yeah.
Behringer was the outlier. You said something about their thing and they retaliated in whichever way they did. So I'm not going to say it's a fault of the capitalism.
Right. Yeah. And also, it's like, even if that were the case, like that being brought up as like the concept of, or, the overall response to my video, it's like, oh, okay, well then, yeah, I'll just go get rid of capitalism this weekend. And, we'll turn it into a communist state or something. I mean, I'm sure we'll figure out a different way to make society work here that'll be better than the Industrial Revolution.
I mean, my thing is, I want the world to be better. Obviously,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to sit here and say like the world as it is fine. Whatever. My thing is, I don't know. I don't know where the utopian society exists. So because of that, I'm just doing the best I can within the constraints
Yeah.
of a system. I don't know. Without throwing up my hands and saying it's
Yeah.
all broken, forget it. Like.
Here, the on screen. Thank you for the $5 sent through YouTube, the capitalist company. I mean, I don't think. Here's the thing, right? I think that like by saying these words I'm about to say, it doesn't mean that I'm defending every single facet of a certain system.
Yeah, right?
I don't think capitalism's a failure. We have a vaccine like 8 months after a disease, like a vaccine existed literally within months. I mean, it hadn't been fully tested, but within months of a disease even being noticed in any way. So like right there, even just with that one thing, like money was the driver of that, and that is going to save lives. There's a million different ways. If you go from the Industrial Revolution to like the internet boom to like all these different, to what ended the Great Depression, you could point to capitalism and say capitalism did these things. But we also have socialism in America. We also have like the street. I don't pay a streetlight bill, right? I pay taxes for the streetlight. I pay for the taxes for the police and the fire department and all these other things. So we do have socialism. We have Medicaid. We have Medicare. We have all these things. I do think that people should have access to health care. I would like to see that expanded. But like when we point to Scandinavian countries and say those are socialist countries and they work better than we do, no, they have capitalism too. Like you can buy toothpaste there, you can buy a car, you can do it. Like they have capitalism. I just think that like, I basically my point is that with these comments that I see a lot about just being like capitalism bad, socialism bad, like we're in a gray area and we always have been since the beginning of political ideologies and philosophy. Like there is no, I guess I don't know. Cuba is pretty anti-capitalist, right? But you can't, if you run out of deodorant when you're going to Cuba, you're gonna have a bad time.
I mean,
Like,
it's
you're
tough
not
because
gonna get your Old Spice high endurance.
I feel like it's hard in the space of like I'm the type of person who I don't have a you know you, I always think of it like this. I rarely talk about I never talk about politics because I feel like so often I'm hearing things as opinions and I'm open to other ideas, but there's so many times when it seems like people are taking it personally and I just
Yeah,
don't know how to navigate that. I'm over here saying like I even made it my motto when I a long time ago, years ago, I made my motto, life isn't always black and white,
yeah,
right? That was just the motto that I made. And that nothing is always yes and nothing is always absolute. Everything sort of has this crazy backstory to it, right? But it's hard because, no one understands all of those nuances to anything. It just becomes X bad, X good. Sort of like Behringer, right? Like
yeah,
I don't know everything. Like sometimes I saw someone make a comment on a video saying like in my country I can't even import like Moog, but Behringer does import
yeah,
to my country,
yeah.
right? So like
Like
what
most
is
Latin
someone
American countries.
yeah,
Yeah,
what is
have
someone
that.
supposed to say to that? Fuck you.
Yeah,
No instruments for you ever. Well, there's
yeah,
a perfect example of not black and white. That's a gray area, like of, and so I don't know. I mean, I want to be. I would love to live in the utopian society where everyone said that's a subjective opinion, and we're still friends. But I know we don't. We live where that's not.
yeah.
You know, I'm sure I'm the enemy of certain people in the chat.
Well, this year's obviously like different, but I guess if we just look at the last decade and compare it to any other decade, like even with Donald Trump, even with everything, if we compare it to any other decade in human history, we have less hunger, we have less. The infant death rates are down worldwide. Uh, as a whole, we're doing better. We're doing better as a civilization, and it's because of technology.
Sure.
And right now, in this like century, I guess, since like 1900 or so, maybe a little bit before then, like technology has and capitalism have been really good friends. And it's because yes, capitalism is driven by greed, but somehow that has also like pushed technology pretty far up. And so it's interesting to me because I just when somebody says fuck capitalism, I'm just like, well, yeah, in some degrees, but I don't have any better ideas as a whole, taking every variable into consideration right now. I could think of a lot of ideas to improve things, but what do I know? I'm clearly, I definitely don't know more than an economist knows, and economists are the people who advise the politicians, and they don't seem to do things much better than. But point being, is I think if you look at if you look at human history, I think we're always doing better because technology is growing. And one last thing on that point, when people think of capitalism, a lot of people think of it in this way, where they think of a pie, and like Jeff Bezos has this big slice, and then because actually over here, Jeff Bezos has this big slice, and because his slice is so big, then everybody else starves. But the reality is that when we have technology driving capitalism, when we have technology driving society, that pie grows, and you could have a really thin slice and still be well fed. And that's kind of when you see like new money companies like Google and Facebook and the way that they're investing in third world countries, they understand that, and they understand that that actually has a higher rate of return in the long distant future. And they measure money not by the amount but by the velocity, because the more you spend and the more you get paid, $50 spent back and forth a bunch of times between two people equals $400, and so they look at it that way. That's anyway.
I mean,
That's my monologue.
don't worry. you your subscriber count has diminished just like mine over the
I'm
last
down
10
to
minutes.
five
Don't
people.
worry, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just always look at it like there is no right or wrong when we're talking about personal experiences with
Yeah.
things. You know, it's just so subjective. Like, just like transition
Yeah.
synthesizers, there is no good or bad in synthesizers objectively.
Yeah.
There's objectively broken or not broken. But in terms of like sound, I get that all the time. The which is better, Korg Monologue or Yamaha CS whatever.
Yeah. Right.
You said better?
No.
Better to a
yeah.
musical instrument.
Yeah. Yeah. So somebody in the comments said that America has 40 million homeless people, and that's absolutely not true. America has too many one homeless person is too many homeless people, but I think the number is closer to 500,000, which is sad and terrible. And I think it's risen to that in 2020. Sorry, just I noticed that in the side stream, and I was like, for any Europeans who think that like we have 40 million homeless people, it's like it's more like 500,000, but. We're not.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, all I'll ever say to all of this is, as a one person human in the world of how many people live on the planet? A few billion, right?
Yeah, 7 billion.
I don't have the answers, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if I know that a lot of us sometimes think that we have all the answers, but it's bigger than one person, right? And I will fully admit I can be wrong. I don't have all the answers, and anyone I believe who thinks that they have the specific answer to satisfy 7 billion people, because this
Yeah.
is how it always comes off, right? Like, I just don't know if I just don't find that feasibly possible, because we're dealing with individuals all with different situations, and I can at least humble myself to say, like, I just don't have the answers. Like,
Yeah.
I can barely fix the small community around me. Like, I can
Right,
barely
yeah.
impact the few homeless people on my block. And this is the funny thing. Sometimes when I have food and I offer to like a homeless person, sometimes they don't want it, straight
Yeah.
up. So I just don't have all the answers, and I don't know if saying like you're wrong, and saying I'm right and you're wrong to
Yeah.
the 7 billion people thing. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, like you said, it is a gray area, and I think that like it, and I think more than anything is like this is something we're going to realize in the next year. We're going to learn the hard way, is that we have all this good news with Biden, becoming president, and we have who knows what the Senate rate's going to end up like, but we may end up having like a left a left leaning Senate and Congress and White House, and I feel like we're going to learn really fast that it's going to be really complicated to get progressive things done, because conservatives are not going to be happy, one way or another. There's going to be civil unrest in some degree, and that's sort of the big problem with every government, isn't it? Is that like every party has to be happy to some degree, to some extent, and that's just not seemingly happening anywhere in the world right now. Not in England either. Like in England, it's seeming like everybody's just at very great odds.
I really hope everyone, because me as a person, I'm not right or I'm not left. Like,
Yeah.
because I know people like to make sure you're in buckets, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not on either side, because I just see just because I feel like I don't have all the
Yeah.
answers, and I also don't. I feel like it's more than a full-time job to know everything, and I feel like most people work jobs and they have families and stuff, right? So, I just,
Yeah.
I think that I try to be as educated as I can. I hate to say, in the small amount of time, that I have, but then and that's probably why I shy away from it, is because I feel like I don't have the answers, and I feel like people are constantly telling you must have the answers, and if you don't,
Yeah.
you're wrong. And
Right.
because
Yeah.
you're wrong, I'm right. And it's with synths. I mean, if we're going to bring it back to synth stuff, it happens all the time in the videos. I literally say, hey, I like the Tempest. And I've gotten so many comments where people are like, the Tempest is a broken piece of shit and you're wrong. And I'm just like, but isn't this just kind of an opinion? Like, it's
Yeah.
not,
Right.
you know, what is the chat saying? Are they saying things that are just like,
It's no, I mean it's not too hostile.
okay.
I have one question. Just ask me like, what it's like to be in Georgia right now, and I it's miserable. Like my phone is useless now. Like it's on mute at all times because it's constantly getting a text or a call telling me to vote. My mail, I
Wait,
get like this
really?
much. Oh yeah, yeah. I get my mail. I'm getting like maybe a pile this much every single day of things just telling me that like John Ossoff is a terrorist. Yeah, I mean it's like totally crazy. Somebody else, a couple other people asked me if I'm voting in the runoffs. Of course, I've already voted. I've already early voted. It's like it is funny because during the whole Behringer thing, I was getting all this like right wing stuff in the comments, and I didn't respond to any of it. I just was like, yeah, well, I just voted in the Senate runoff, and you can't vote against me. You can't. Like I just thought
Oh
to
yeah.
myself, to all those comments, it's like, ha, you can't cancel my vote. Haha.
I
I get to
saw
decide
someone
your future.
I saw someone say that. But that's why, and I know that there's a lot of people in the comments section, or sorry, there's a lot of people in the chat right now, and I'm going to say this, but please understand that, I care about every single person who watches and cares about anything that I do creatively and who, wants to support me or whatever. That's great. But man, if there's been one double-edged sword to my entire like career as like a creative and a content creator, is the comment section. And it's never usually, I love constructive criticism. Constructive
Yeah.
criticism has built my channel to be better. My best friend, I loved when he said this. My best friend years ago said, your intro's too long. He just straight up said it. And I was like, damn, he's right. But
Yeah.
that was a piece of constructive criticism that like elevated, and I feel like people actually were bettered. The content was bettered by it. It's just, there's so many times when, and I've said random things. I don't make a video political at all, right?
Yeah.
But I've gotten comments before, aside from just saying the N-word, which is not so much a thing anymore, but more recently, where it's just people will just say, they'll make a political equivalent, right? On the same video. On the same video. I've had people say like, oh, like clear Biden supporter here, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll have us on the same video, someone say like, oh, that's something Trump would say. And I'm like, but it's the same video. It's the
Yeah.
same video. And there are two people. It's just, it blows my mind. And so,
Right, yeah, you
this,
get-
it's just, it's not like it's literally blowing my mind. I'm just like, I can't even read the comments because
Yeah, yeah. No, that was like the Behringer thing for sure. Is there was this like, there's a lot of people just being like, you're a snowflake and yada yada, and then another, then right below that there'd be a comment being like, you're giving Behringer too much credit. You need to, it's like, well, which one, oh, you're damaging this company for no reason, and then the next one be it's like, man, you guys really kind of between a rock and a hard place here. There's no right answer, but
I just think it's so funny to watch, to two people watch the same video. These people are like clearly, what's the word? I don't know. Triggered is the word or something. But watching the same video and two individual people can come with two totally opposite comments on the same exact thing I'm saying. But yet in the video, I'm not saying anything politically at all. I'm speaking
Yeah.
about literally an inanimate object. And yeah, I mean, I wish people knew that I care about the inanimate. I know I'm the one making the videos, but I care about the inanimate objects way less than you think. Like,
yeah,
I don't.
yeah, right, yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah, I'm moving a chair with my foot, and everybody's like freaking out because they think that there's a ghost.
guys,
Yeah.
It's not a ghost. It's a.
It's a socialist ghost. It's a, you guys could be everybody could be happy. Well, some half of you could be happy. It's a
God, I don't
socialist
even know
ghost.
what's showing on the camera right now, and I'm like scratching my ass. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn into the guy who's having what is that work call, and then like he thinks he's off camera, but he's like over there like jerking
Yeah.
it. Like the camera's off. Boomer. Never use your work computer for fucking
This is
jacking off.
our viewers are social democrats. Is the vibe here. I'm egalitarian.
I don't
But
get it, man.
that's-
It's fine.
That's what I consider myself.
I'm just.
Google that, y'all.
I thought, I was tricked. All my life, I was tricked to think that people who were musicians were just not even a certain political way, just that they were loving and caring people who just came together on the idea of creating. You know how they say music is a universal language? I had been brought up thinking that that was true, right? That
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter what creed or color or country you come from, the idea of creating melodies and harmonies is what will allow us to communicate and care about each other regardless of outside things. And I realized that like once I started getting called the N-word, I realized that I had sort of been duped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like a good way of thinking of it is like I'd been a musician since I was a teenager and a professional musician since I was like 20. And when I was 30, I've always been very into martial arts. And when I was a teenager, I did a lot of boxing. And when I was 30, I kind of had an early midlife crisis. And I was like, well, I want to compete professionally before I get too old to do it. And so I did that. And I kind of, I ended up just having a community of fighters that I met a lot of people doing that. And it was funny because they were so much nicer and more welcoming than the musician community. Than like when I went on tour, I would just receive all this like passive aggressiveness and hostility, and then like the people who were literally like punching me in the face and sparring, and like like they were like the nicest, than people who are now like among my best friends. So
I wonder if the chat can agree with that. Like, I feel like I didn't think it was that way, but man, the like music community sometimes it's weird because it does seem like sort of like a crabs in a bucket mentality
Yeah.
sometimes. Like
Right.
it feels sometimes, I've never had this happen, but like if you had another band on after you or something,
Yeah.
some person who was like a roadie or another person in that band would like, I don't know, they're gonna like detune your guitar or they're gonna like
Yeah.
unplug your amp, right? Like we're all
Yeah.
supposed to be here making music and it's just a creative sort of endeavor, right? But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna say 99% of the time people are positive and caring. It's just sometimes you get sort of pushed back to reality where you see like, man, like, but it's fine. I get it. Like hate exists everywhere. Hate would exist if I was doing horse jumping or if I was doing, if I'm an NBA basketball player, someone's going to hate someone for something. But sometimes I guess just the music community gets this weird thing where people think it's all about being chill and like in loving everyone and being supportive. But sometimes it's just like not
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, we got.
Wait,
Yeah.
Heimbach is here?
Yeah, we got.
Oh,
He's the quote of the hour.
what did Heimbach say?
Musicians in general are not nice people.
Damn.
I agree. I think it's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Do you feel like sometimes musicians don't, because this is me. This is my personal thought. There's room for everyone. Now, where your room is, I'm not fucking Kanye West, okay?
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that I'm still not here, right? And there's people, I see people all the time who like I found through my live stream, someone put me onto Heyman. She's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's a fantastic musician, right, Heyman? But she's super small, right? But I appreciate her. I don't want her to not succeed. I never wish bad or would say something bad about someone to not have them succeed, but I definitely feel like that is a thing that exists. Like sabotage on purpose does exist.
Yeah, there's definitely competition, and I also think that things are I guess to like draw up that example of like the fighting community, the boxing and MMA community mixed, as opposed to the musician community. One of those things right away is like if I walked into my gym with an ego, that could immediately, I'm going to find my place right then and there immediately, whether it be through jiu-jitsu or sparring or whatever it is. Like my ego's going to be leveled out to where it should be immediately, because it's not an abstract thing. You're either getting choked out or you're choking somebody out. You're not really like it's not like music where I could be like, well, I could play this instrument better than Deadmau5, but he's making much more than I am, so this is unfair and I hate him. Like I feel like there's so many more weird abstract variables with music. And I also feel like a lot of people get into music to get famous. Like they just get into because they think that it's like a quick route to like get laid and get famous or make a lot of money. And I feel like something like boxing, whereas I do feel like obviously boxers would like to get famous. They understand that there's a lot of hard work to get to that point. Like to be a famous boxer or a famous MMA fighter, you have to have like an undefeated record, and there's a lot of adversity, physical adversity, to get there. And so I feel like, yeah, it's an ego crushing way of doing it. But yeah, of course fighters have egos once they're up on top. But
I guess
that's
not
just me.
That's just so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, hey guys, guess what? I'm getting laid less than ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the modular synth over here, nobody is getting wet because of this fucking modular synth. Let me tell you right now. So I wanted to make a funny video about like, what is it really like dating someone whose half their apartment is stuff that a potential mate literally has no idea why you have it and why you spent so much money on it.
Look Mom, No Computer. He did a video where he explained like how his living situation was in London. Like he rented these essentially like big lofts that they were really cheap, but the one condition is that if they found somebody else to rent it, he had like 3 days to get out, and that was like his big thing. And so it like his older place, he like showed around it, and it's literally like he had to like push all the stuff in to make the video, and him and his girlfriend just like slept in the middle of it, and I was just like, man, that's brutal. Like she must just be like, what the fuck is it? But
I find it hard. That's my shit. I find it like I mean it's funny. There's a part of YouTube over there with Jake Paul and making a lot of money and bitches and shit. You know what I'm saying? And then there's like this world, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of ad revenue, but a lot of hours learning stuff. And for me, I definitely feel like I'm not like shy about being like, yo, this is the shit I do. But it is definitely, it ain't impressive. Like, so I don't know where I was going with this, but that was real depressing.
No, well, in the good news, just something that I think everybody here should hear this because of the date, because it's the last day of 2020. You should definitely look at your earnings if you're a freelancer, and anybody who's a freelancer, you should look at your earnings and figure out if you could write off any synth stuff or any sort of gear, because today's your last day to make that write-offable purchase. I'm not there, unfortunately. I'm in the red this year. I've lost so much money this year, but yeah, but yeah, for those who haven't, be a good
I
time to do that accounting and make your write-offs.
yeah, guys, time to what is it? Time to try to figure out how to do all those itemized deductions.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, I already like ran the math, and I was like, "Nah, I'm definitely good with the write-offs. I've spent way more than I made in 2020, but yeah,
Do you write off your house, part of your house, because it's the studio?
part of it, yeah, yeah. I get a certain percentage of it, more with my state than federal, but with state taxes, I don't even have to really pay. It's like $7 or something. Just
Yeah,
because,
state is like I don't even. I think I make. Yeah, state is like giving me back
yeah,
$12
yeah.
if I'm not going to find a way to
Federal.
break whatever.
I didn't get any of the check. I didn't get my stimulus check, and I'm wondering if
Oh, you
like
rich?
yeah. Well, no. I didn't get it. I just got fucked. I just I just got the dreaded like error page and like never got the check. And
Check on my damn check right now.
yeah. And so that means I probably won't get the second one either. But yeah. But I do wonder like, am I going to get that back for my taxes? That'd be nice. That'd be a nice little. Yeah.
Congrats.
Do you need an LLC to write stuff off? That's a question. No, you don't. No, you can write stuff off. You don't need to incorporate to write stuff off. You can.
Yeah, your social security number is going to be your tax ID, so it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite amazing how much you can write off. But yeah, it's funny. I don't know why I didn't
Germany?
check.
Germany got a check? How much you get, Heimbach? I want to know. I didn't know other countries were giving checks and shit. So like, I thought because people here make it seem like America's the whole world. You right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know. So
I didn't.
tell
You
us.
know, it's funny. I actually was not the biggest. Even though I was like, yeah, I'll take it, but I was not. I'm not the biggest fan of the send in checks to everybody system. Like I think it would just make a lot more sense to like suspend mortgages and make everybody get a test. Whoa!
Do you see what that
5,000
motherfucker got?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. 5K. All right.
Euro, what? Euros.
Just buying a Yamaha Montage with his.
Oh my god, dude. What the?
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I got nada.
5,000 euro is like. Hey Siri, what is 5,000 euro converted to US dollars?
6,600.
Is $6,147.
Damn, dude. Damn.
Yahoo Finance.
Damn. This guy fucking. I bought socks. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's fucking out here flexing.
Yeah. Like in America, I honestly, I was just kind of thinking to myself, like, okay, so first of all, the $600 thing,
Oh man.
this $600 thing costs us in our individual per capita debt like $6,000. Like we're giving money to the airline industry. We're giving like first of all, it's sort of like, well, yeah, we're still gonna have to pay all this back like at some point in one way or another. And then the other thing is like, man, if that initial payout, like I don't know, I guess I was thinking to myself like if that initial payout just like instead we suspended mortgages and then, for example, bought tests, like made every single time somebody went to work at a restaurant or McDonald's, they had to pass a COVID test, a rapid test, and we spent the money on that. Then everybody could be tested pretty much every other day of the year, and I don't know. That was my thinking. But
That's hilarious. I just think that's just wild. Like, I mean, I see the super chat. I mean, I don't know if that was a dig in the super chat, or if
I'm
that
looking.
was, or if that was just like a joke on our. I'd like to think it's a joke because it is a hilarious sick burn. So I'll take
Yeah.
that. It's fine.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the thing is like it's still our money being given to us. Like it's still like it's not.
Was that Ecotech? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just say you're not wrong. Like no, I don't think anyone here, even I know Ben, you said you're not a fan of the whole thing. Nobody here in any state is saying that $600 is anything.
Yeah.
Like Ben lives in Georgia, a little cheaper there. So I mean,
it's like it's for a lot of people, it's like imagine that they got a knife in the stomach and their intestines are falling out, so the government's giving them a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
That's kind of what $600 is like to somebody who
Yeah.
actually needs it.
Yeah.
And then to everybody else, it's a PlayStation 4. So it's just kind of like, or 5? PS5.
well, I
yes,
appreciate.
yeah.
I'll just say I appreciate you, Ecotech, because
Yeah.
is a legitimate dig since since you can be at least what is the word? Kind about
Yeah.
it. Most
Flex.
people would probably say
Flex
that Ben is a Jew and I am an N, and they wouldn't even give $5, right? So
Yeah.
it's fair.
Well, we got COVID truthers in the chat, which is a great
Fine, whatever.
which is a great great moment to say that it's going on 4 in the morning.
I know.
and
See,
I'm
we didn't
out,
even
yeah.
talk about that, and now it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not buying somebody. Yeah. I'm not buying a PS5. Well, everybody, it was wonderful. How many people do we have watching this? 6? 311. That's
Really,
amazing.
after all of that,
That's amazing. It grew somehow. Oh, okay. The COVID truther was being sarcastic. That's good news. I'm gonna be able to sleep a little bit better for. Yeah.
I already know I'm getting like held for review messages, so I'm just gonna.
No, I think we did pretty good. I said some pretty. I said some pretty. Some pretty, I guess, controversial things, and I think we got I think we all worked out okay.
Don't worry, guys. We won't we won't do this again, and
Yeah. Well, I want to get gaming in on this. I want to have like.
I know
like,
you said that shit, and
Yeah,
I was like,
I want to get like Heinbach. I want to get him. I want to get Bo Beats. I want to get Simon. I want to like. We got to play some. We got to like play checkers while we're doing this or something like. That would be.
if we can plug in on an online thing, then
Yeah.
I'm down for sure. I mean,
Yeah, like a little side screen of chat. I'm sure I could. Well, yeah, with this Atom Mini, I'm sure I could rig it up somehow. Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I
down.
could have like my screen split with the Atom Mini and then everybody on the side or something like that. Yeah, we have all these little options.
I mean, Simon and me used to play Minecraft, so and I loved. He introduced me to that whole thing.
You were
That
on
was
his
just
server?
Wonderful. Yeah.
That's fine. I created a little deep learning bot on his server.
Really?
And, yeah, and it ended up like digging through someone's house, and then I ended up like just being like, okay, I'm going to turn this off because I'm going to destroy the whole thing. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I just let it run rampant.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
it's
thank
it's
you
much
so much.
earlier for me, so sorry.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
No, that's okay. It was great talking to you. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I would actually stay on longer, but my parents want to hang out on New Year's, so yeah.
There you go. Oh yeah, we could do an Among Us stream. Anyway.
Yeah, I need to play that for once. Yeah. Cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is a public stream. Maybe I'll do a replay on my Patreon or something. I don't know. But yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you. And it was great talking to you in semi-person. And yeah, we should do this again.
Close as we get.
All right. Yeah. For now. All right. Okay, cool. I'll see you.